This is Legends and Libations.
Hey, Matthew, you know what time of year it is?
It's my favorite time of year, Jesse.
It should be everybody's favorite time of year. Guys, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
What a lovely time this is. I absolutely love Christmas.
Me too.
You ever meet those people who are just like, I hate Christmas?
Like Scrooge.
Yeah, they're Scrooge McDuck.
Yes.
Or they're the Grinch and they just hate Christmas.
The Grinch, that's a good one. I can think of a couple more that we're going to go over that are adamantly anti-Christmas.
Yeah, there is a group that we're going to go over today that is absolutely hates Christmas, but really because of how much they hated Christmas, they created a new Christmas tradition. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely lovely.
They've evolved into the thing that they hated.
We became the thing that we hated.
Yes, that we vowed to defeat.
So one of the things that is a real mixed bag is Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Like everything in America.
Yeah. But really the modern day Santa Claus is such a mix of different customs and traditions that it cannot just be one Santa Claus.
You mean he wasn't always wearing that like velvet red and white suit? And flying around on the magic sleigh, delivering presents.
Yeah, ironically, the modern day Santa that these hats are coming from, which again are awesome. But one of the Coca-Cola company made this.
Really?
They paid an artist to do this.
I knew that he was on the can, but I didn't know that like he was they were responsible for creating the modern Santa.
Allegedly, they actually have 1930s are responsible for that when they had artists do a campaign for them. Yep.
So you're telling me that if they had put it on a Mountain Dew can instead of a Coke can, that Santa would be wearing like some neon green. He'd be bringing kids like 12 packs of Mountain Dew. He doesn't need to do that. We already do that ourselves.
Oh my gosh! Imagine the Monster Energy drink Santa.
Yes.
He would have like ripped sleeves.
In his like gym attire.
So today for our first drink, and I actually brought a good group of drinks because just like this legend of Santa Claus is a good group of traditions coming together, I thought that we needed a good group of libations to at least go along with each one. Now,
we couldn't decide on one legend to represent Christmas. We couldn't decide on one drink to represent all of Christmas either.
And even these are like, there's so many more Christmas drinks. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, there's so many Christmas
Especially
drinks.
ones that were not available in our area because they come from around the world.
Yeah. So we're starting super American.
About as American as it gets.
Coca-Cola and rum, a rum and Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I chose a rum particularly. I chose Sailor Jerry. Now, some people are like, what does rum have to do with Christmas? And it has nothing to do with Christmas. Well, it could, but really I chose this because it was Sailor Jerry. And Sailor is going to connect to our original St. Nicholas story.
Okay.
But we'll get to that. So,
I'm excited to hear all these connections.
I know, right? So, gosh, this is the first soda pop I've had in a long, long time.
It must be because you call it soda pop and no one calls it that since like the 40s.
Thanks, man. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't drink soda pop.
No, me neither.
Oh my God, look how fizzy it is. I don't really know how much to put in. But we need to save a room for a shot of rum, so...
Well, generally you put the rum in first, I think.
Shoot.
But it's okay.
My bartending skills went backwards there. You're right, though.
Oops. But I can do the rum.
Oh, thanks.
No problem. You got the Coke. I got the rum. I'm probably going to spill some.
Yeah, well, that's the story of our lives.
Yeah.
I have a magic skill of spilling. Like, I can spill anything and everything. The other day, I was getting in my car with a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. And...
You spilled the coffee?
The whole coffee on my car windows.
Oh no! Did it go down in between the cracks and like is it gonna mess up your?
No. It was like outside of it, on the outside. So it was like, it was like rain, but coffee.
That was gonna be for the eggnog, but it's okay.
Whatever. That'll be all right.
I spoiled it.
All right. So famous rum and Coke.
Can't say I've never had this one before though. I think Jesse's never had it before. Was that the rum or was that the Coke?
That was the Coke. The
Coca-Cola. Man, that's sweet.
Yeah, my God.
Even with a shot of rum in it, it's sweet.
The Coke is wow.
I haven't had a real Coke in a long time.
This tastes like medicine.
Coke never tastes as good unless it comes out of the fountain machine a lot of the time.
Yeah, when I was little, that's probably like the last time I really had Coke was out of a fountain machine.
Especially the one at McDonald's.
Yeah, just the best.
Yeah, because they have a like proprietary system that delivers the Coke to their machine that only McDonald's has. And then they give you that extra big straw, so like more of it hits your tongue at one time.
Oh, nice.
So you enjoy your experience more at McDonald's.
This if you guys like Coca-Cola, I think this is probably pretty good. I don't know.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, it's just kind of like tastes like Coke with some rum in it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to go really fancy with this. This is not one of those fancy drinks, but this is the experience, right?
The rendering of Santa Claus, the art on the can is probably like etched in my mind as like the typical Santa Claus. I mean, I don't know, is he on this one?
Yeah, look at him on this bottle.
Okay, he's tiny on this bottle. And this is not the one that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of like the more like rosy cheeked one where his beard's taking up like half the can.
Oh yeah.
You've probably seen it.
Definitely.
And I don't know if he has a hat on in that one or not.
He's too hot. He's been drinking too much rum and Coke.
Yeah, exactly. I could see Santa just like taking off in his full outfit at the beginning of the night, and then like by the time he's pulling back into the North Pole, he's like just down to his wife beater, his like candy cane wife beater.
A night of clubbing. You know how you feel afterwards. It's just,
yes.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, Rudolph, get away from me. I don't want to see you till next year.
So that reminds me. Growing up. We both grew up with Santa, right?
Most definitely.
Yeah. What was the tradition of Santa for your family?
It was probably pretty ordinary for around here. You know, just like leave out the milk and cookies, and then he's gonna give us some presents. I don't really know if we thought he came down the chimney or not, because my brother had asthma, so we never used the fireplace, so it was like blocked off most of the time. But
okay. Yeah.
In like the Tim Allen, the Santa Claus movie, you see how he just he comes down to the houses that don't have a chimney at all. So it's like that was no big like stretch of the imagination for him to find another way in.
Yeah. If he can do that, he can do anything. I didn't have a chimney in my old house, but we did set out cookies and milk.
Some reindeer food. I think we did that too.
Wow, really?
I'm not sure what they ate, if it was like oats or if it was like grass or
just
I don't know, rum and Coke.
Did you just like put it on the ground outside, or?
I think it was kind of like beside the milk and cookies.
Okay.
Like it might have been labeled. Like I didn't want Santa to be like eating the grass.
I think I remember people putting carrots.
Carrots.
For the deer.
Could totally see that.
But we didn't care about the deer, apparently, in my family.
That's okay. They don't need to overeat because they got a long
they have a long journey. And it's it's like running a marathon.
Right. You'll throw up. They don't want them to throw up.
Yeah, Christmas is their marathon night. They can't eat that much. But how do you think Santa feels? It's all that. Jeez.
Probably like he needs to take his blood pressure medicine. I'd hate to see his trip on the way home from the pharmacy and he's just got like a whole bag full of pills.
So the legend I remember as a kid is he definitely went to every house, Christmas night. That one time a year he went on December 25th or December 24th in the night.
Santa is a quantum entity, so he can like be in all these places at one time.
Yeah, and he would deliver presents. And I remember watching the like radar where he was.
The Santa tracker.
Yeah, the Santa tracker.
Yeah.
And then I remember like the idea of him going everywhere was like just.
I didn't know about the Santa tracker until like 10 years ago, probably. Like how old has that been?
Ugh.
If you knew it when you were a kid, it must be pretty old.
There probably was like some primitive version of it on the internet. I remember when we got internet at the house, and it was like probably and all of it could just be false memories. I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember that, but maybe I don't remember it. And he had his reindeer, which I know I should know all of them because of the song, but I know like Donner and Blitzen and
Dasher and Prancer. Vixen, Comet and Cupid.
You were really good at this.
Blitzen, Rudolph. We're out of order now.
I know Rudolph. I know Rudolph because, I remember the old claymation Rudolph.
We watched that with Cassian the other day.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Yeah, so classic. So fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the Star Wars holiday special?
No, that's like one thing that's always eluded me, and I get mixed reviews. Some people say that you have to watch it because it's so bad, and the other people are like, stay away from it because it'll ruin your opinion of Star Wars and stuff like that.
I mean, can it really ruin your opinion?
I don't know. They kind of ruin their own opinion a lot of the time, but they do enough themselves.
Yeah, but like it's like they made it and then they buried it.
It's all Wookiee based, isn't it? Or like mostly Wookiee based.
There's huge portions that are Wookiee based where the Wookiee is like.
It's because the reason that is because they had to fill a whole hour time slot, and I think that the script was only written for like 15 minutes or something. Like the script was really short, and so they just had them film nonsense Wookiee sounds for like
you could tell
time.
You could tell what the Wookiees were communicating, but it was like. It felt weird because it's just watching like a foreign film with no subtitles.
Right, like Wookiee
I understand what's happening, but that would be fun. That would be a great drinking game. So, a good libations game. Go ahead and pour your
subtitle or caption the Wookiees.
Yeah, caption the Wookiees from this holiday edition of Star Wars, which you can usually find on YouTube, maybe somewhere else. He buried it, but he didn't bury it good enough. We found it.
Usually they're like, you can't have the rights to anything Star Wars, but with that, they're just like, get that away from me. We don't want the rights to that at all.
Okay, so here's a fun question.
All right.
When does Christmas start?
When you start listening to Christmas music.
So traditionally in the old world, until relatively recently, Christmas originally started on the 25th, and then it was a whole season.
25th of December?
Yeah.
So it went into January.
Yeah, and what we are in right now is actually considered what they would consider Advent. Which is preparation for Christmas and has kind of a Christmassy spirit, but it's moving into it. And our Santa Claus, his particularly like his festival or his celebration was actually within that Advent season.
Okay, so that's a lot different from the way that we do it now.
Oh yeah, now
it's blended together. Like this is the Christmas season. I think of December as all being Christmas season.
Yeah. And traditionally it goes until Christmas Day up to what they call Candlemas, which is like February 2nd. That's the original Christmas season.
February 2nd?
Yeah.
What
Long Christmas season.
What other kind of events happen during that time?
Oh, so you have Christmas Day. And then for 8 days, you have like a series of festivals that happen in the church.
That's cool.
Like it's 8 days long, and then it ends with the Solemnity of the Mother of God. And then it goes into the Epiphany, and then Epiphany Tide. And it's just, the Epiphany is the traditional day in which the wise men came and visited Jesus.
Okay.
So it was a traditional gift giving day, which is January 6th.
Okay, that's a lot different.
Yeah, so different.
Now January 6th is known for something else.
Yeah. But yeah, traditionally, January 6th is, and in a lot of cultures, actually still they do presents that day.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of Europe, South America.
The present giving is very spread out, as I found during our research for different cultures during this time of year, and for different reasons too. So where does our Santa Claus come from? So
we have to go way, way back in time for Santa Claus, to jolly good old Saint Nicholas. So Saint Nicholas obviously is considered a saint. His feast day is December 6th.
Okay.
So that just passed like the other day. And he's the patron saint of at least, I know a couple things, but at least sailors and children. And then
repentant thieves.
Repentant thieves, yeah.
All you repentant thieves.
Any of you guys who stole and said, I'm sorry.
Saint Nick's got you.
Yeah, Saint Nick's got you. If you're a sailor, which is why I got the Sailor Jerry's with this Coca-Cola. Okay. Bring us to an old tradition to modern day, right?
We like that.
Yeah. So Saint Nicholas apparently was named after his uncle, who was an abbot.
Okay. So is this a historical verified accounts?
Yeah. Legend. Legend. Saint Nicholas is called the Wonder Worker.
Okay.
He's a fascinating character, and he appears in really early Christendom before it's really even legalized in Rome. So, so much of his life is wrapped around this miraculous.
Right.
So let's even talk about his birth. Apparently, his parents were married for 30 years and couldn't have kids.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And they prayed and fasted and prayed and fasted, and then 30 years go by, and all of a sudden, out comes Saint Nick.
That sounds familiar.
Oh, I know,
it's from the Bible. It's kind of like a theme.
Yeah, it's very thematic.
Itself. But wasn't he raised by his uncle? Did I read that somewhere? And that his uncle was a bishop and kind of got him started on the...
Certainly by some... Because, his parents did die.
Okay.
But,
well, there you go. That makes a lot of sense. He was Harry Potter. There we go.
Yeah, he was Harry Potter. Apparently, there's a pious legend that when he was young, even as a baby, he would fast from drinking milk on Wednesdays and Fridays, traditional fast days of the church.
Wow.
And so he wouldn't eat those days.
I have a baby, and I can't possibly imagine how cranky he would be if he didn't eat for 2 days out of the week.
Yeah, like that. The legend of his piety, the legend of his goodness, goes up to his childhood, where you'll read old legends and says, even as a baby, he fasted on Wednesday and Friday.
That's ridiculous.
He lost his parents.
Does it say how he lost his parents?
Oh, I didn't find anything on that. Did you?
Voldemort killed them.
Voldemort killed them. He had a little lightning bolt on his head.
Yeah. That's why he wears that hat that has like the cross on it to cover up his scar.
Bolt,
yeah, exactly.
So one of the big legends attributed to him, and that I think we still see. So we still put stockings by our fireplace. Well, if you have a fireplace, right? Mm-hmm. But you put them somewhere.
You put them somewhere even if you don't have a fireplace.
That is attached to a traditional story. He grew up and he had a little bit of money, but he was known to give it away very freely, like without a problem.
That's cool.
And there was a poor man who had 3 daughters in the city of, I want to say Myra, but it could have been Laconia. Doesn't matter.
Italy, Greece. Okay.
Yeah. And there was 3 daughters that this man had, and he had to have a dowry for them to get married. Well, he was poor.
Back in the old days.
The
dowry.
Yeah. You want me to marry her? Got to have a dowry.
Yeah, exactly. Got to sweeten the deal to get rid of. You got to move some units here. Yeah. I'll throw in a cow and a few chickens.
Want a cat and 3 chickens before I get married.
There we go. We'll eat forever.
Well, because he didn't have that, he didn't have a cow or 3 chickens.
Nobody wanted to marry
his daughters.
And so that's
so
sad.
What he was going to have to do is give them up to like the kind of whorehouse. They were going to have to be harlots or strippers.
Is that like the extreme? It's either like you don't get married or you become a prostitute.
I guess it was.
There's no middle ground at all.
I guess in ancient Rome there was no middle ground there. Like it does seem extreme. I'm glad for later the church definitely, like as the church became more popular in Rome, there was monasteries and people could always do that.
Send them off to be nuns and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
And that was a study of education. That's where like probably what most freedom goes for a lot of people in the Middle Ages. I want to get married. I can be free to study and explore and become much more like, honestly, gain power and knowledge.
Right.
But that's not true in old Rome.
Or present day.
So yeah, their option was you're either going to get married or you're going to become
prostitute. Right. A woman of the night.
A
lady of the streets.
Well, of course he didn't want that to happen. And Nicholas,
he knew about this somehow.
Yeah, and he was such a giving man, but he allegedly threw money in the chimney and it appeared in a stocking.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Some also say that he tossed it through the window and it landed in there. And so
it was like a miracle.
Yeah,
like a small miracle. Yeah.
The first daughter was able to get married, and he did that for the second too. So all 3 daughters were able to get married and not become prostitutes.
Wow.
But rather were able to have, I think, hopefully
respectable marriages.
Respectable marriages, and they had dowries.
Now let's talk about the father that was going to sell them into being prostitutes. Sounds like he wanted to do that, but
he was like, more money that way. Well, I didn't read anything more about him. Only that he was helpful to those women. In a world where there was no options, he gave them options.
So I could see how
they didn't have to become waitresses.
Yeah, exactly. I guess they couldn't be like barmaids.
Barmaids, yeah. They didn't even have because now those are both like such good jobs. But now, or in D&D, those are both great jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
But here, or in that old world, I guess it just was not the option.
There wasn't as much upward mobility.
Yeah, so sad. So that was the first miracle attached to him. Well, another one. Later, like we're like, why is he the patron saint of sailors? That seemed like a weird one. Well, there's actually 2 reasons. So once, on his pilgrimage to the Holy Land, he was like, he took the boat, he was on a ship. He's like, I'm heading to Jerusalem. I'm going to walk the path of Jesus.
Something happened to him.
Oh man, something really bad. He had a bad dream. The bad dream was there's a storm and the ship is going to, it could be really
Like
dangerous.
a premonition.
Yeah. And he wakes up and he's like, guys, there's going to be a storm, but we do not need to fear. Well, that storm comes and it's bad.
Uh-huh.
It's horrible.
Let me guess. They were afraid,
Very afraid.
of course.
Very afraid. One tried climbing up the mast to like tie down the sails.
Did he fall overboard?
On his way down, he fell on deck and died.
Oh, wow.
At that moment, Nicholas prayed and the whole sea calmed.
Awesome.
Which in that ancient like pagan world, do you imagine that?
Yeah, calming the weather.
Yeah, he's calm. He's calming Poseidon.
Yeah.
He's controlling the god of the sea. And then, of course, that's also representing like that Christ-like figure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he prays for the guy who died, and he's resurrected.
He's resurrected. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have another story?
up. Sailor Jerry wakes up.
Sailor Jerry has been raised from the dead. Do you have another story that's kind of similar to that one? Because I read one that one reminds me of.
Yeah, there was another one where he was during the Council of Nicaea. Mm-hmm. He was allegedly one of the bishops at the Council of Nicaea, which we'll talk more about in a sec. Where he had he fell asleep while just hanging out there, and he had a dream that there was a huge storm coming over.
What is it with him dreaming about storms?
I don't know, and there was apparently a ship that was out there with tons of cargo, and in this dream he said, "Be calm." He told the storm to be calm, and when he woke up, his other brother bishops were like, "Hey, you fell asleep. A lot has happened. There was a storm, but then it just suddenly stopped, and
Wow,
it's
it's a miracle.
Yeah, it was miraculous."
I read a story about him that I don't know how he was connected to this person in the village, but it was like this man murdered his 3 children and chopped them up and put them in a barrel. And Saint Nick came along and like he prayed over the barrel or something like that, and like then the 3 children came out of it.
Yeah. That like the butcher, an evil butcher, needed money and he needed meat.
He was gonna make him into like a stew or something.
It was gonna be Sweeney Todd.
Yeah,
it was gonna be Sweeney Todd. He was like, "I'm about to make some meat pies." And what does Saint Nicholas do? He's like,
no,
no
cannibalistic meat pies today.
We're not doing this. And he raises the 3 kids from the dead. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Do we have a libation that goes with Saint Nicholas?
We have one that's trying to go with Saint Nicholas.
Okay.
This one's a very Christmassy one.
We couldn't do a Christmas episode without doing this.
Yeah,
one.
we honestly needed some eggnog. This eggnog is Pennsylvania Dutch. The Dutch will come back into this. All these things are
full circle.
Yeah, all these things are braided into each other. So we'll come back to why it's the Dutch, because there was actually quite a few options. This is made with allegedly real dairy cream, rum, brandy, and blended whiskey. But just in case it's not strong enough,
it's only like 15%.
We have a little
the
extra rum.
Yes.
So that's always important for our episodes, is to have enough.
Have extra.
We all know that Matthew gets funnier the drunker he gets. Go ahead, drink up, buddy.
Unless I fall asleep. But that has not happened yet.
Tell me when.
That's probably good. I mean, 15%, it's not going to be very strong. Jesse asked me which drink that I wanted to have, and I was like, dude, get eggnog. It's a Christmas tradition.
Yeah, it is a Christmas tradition. And originally I was thinking, I'm going to make it from scratch, and I looked at what it took to make it from scratch.
It would be
and I was
like making the Philosopher's Stone, dude. It's probably really difficult. Cheers.
Cheers.
It actually tastes pretty strong.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've never had pre-mixed eggnog like this before.
Well, usually I've had the Evan Williams one, and it's like,
really?
But this one is
we usually
actually
get
delicious.
One of the green container, like Barbers, something like that, and put rum in it.
This one, with before even putting rum in it, is very. It's like a perfect mix.
Alcohol forward tasting, like
alcohol forward, so a little spice, and you can taste the brandy and the spiced rum.
I like it.
It's mixed really well. It's creamy. It's nice.
We'll see if it makes our stomachs hurt, like the butterbeer did.
Do you need this?
Maybe just a little tiny bit.
Tell me when.
That's good. Thanks, mate.
You let me know if it's better. If it's better, I'll do the same.
All right. So eggnog and Saint Nick. How do we connect those two?
So the froth of the ocean. So truly, I don't have. This is just a great Christmas drink, and St. Nicholas is a great Christmas feature.
Exactly.
I have no other connection, but it does have.
It's up for interpretation.
Yeah, potentially there's Sailor Jerry's in it. Is it better with it?
I think it's better.
All right.
I mean,
It has
you might as well.
It has a touch of Sailor Jerry's in it, which now makes it. It connects it to our patron
go.
saint of sailors, and so
Bob's your
there's
uncle.
the connection.
Indeed.
Cheers again.
So now,
I should mix this a little.
yes.
Oh yeah, so that's not all though. With Saint Nicholas, he's known for being so very pious. Mm-hmm. There's even a legend
Well,
that,
obviously Santa Claus was based on him.
but there was a legend that as a child, there was a old and wise bishop that was about to die, and he had a vision that he's like the next person who walks into the church is supposed to be the next bishop. And as a child, Saint Nicholas walked into the church.
So he just like told this to everybody.
And it was like morning prayer.
Okay.
So we're thinking 5 or 6 in the morning, and this kid walks in, maybe 10 or 11, and apparently he has this vision that his name will be Nicholas, and then he's like, "What is your name?" And he says, "I'm Nicholas, the sinner."
Wow.
And he's like, "Holy smokes,
Yes.
this is him! You're going to be bishop." And he makes a bishop of Myra right there.
Wait, when he was 10 or 11?
Yeah, other legends have it a little bit later.
Uh-huh.
But I'm going to stick with the 10-year-old one because it's awesome.
That's wild.
Yeah, like that is so wild. But this is again happening like this old and wise bishop has this vision while praying matins, which is midnight prayer essentially. Mm-hmm. And he's like, la da da da. He's praying. It's really beautiful. It's probably like those Greek matins, so it's probably like super gorgeous. But then he all of a sudden hears Nicholas is going to be the next bishop of the Catholic Church. It's going to be the first person who walks in, and he's just like, "Brothers, I had a vision. This seems plotted."
Yes, it does.
And then for morning prayer at 6 a.m., a boy walks in. Mm-hmm. I've never met a 10-year-old boy to wake up that early to go pray.
No, but if it was Christmas morning, maybe.
Well, yeah, right. Well, and his piety, but also
they didn't have Christmas.
Yeah, they didn't have
then.
Christmas yet. Not in the same way. And like also, if this is the baby who's fasting on Wednesdays and Fridays,
Right.
maybe he is going to be walking in for matins. And so the bishop's like, "Yep, you're definitely going to be bishop."
Or the bishop really couldn't remember the name that he had heard the night before because he's been up all night praying. And then he just asked the kid what his name was. And he was like, "Oh, Nicholas, it must be you." There we go.
Nicholas.
I based my whole life upon this.
Could you imagine making a 10-year-old bishop in a Catholic church now?
Well, they make like kings and stuff of like little babies a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the youngest one to rule was, but it's not unprecedented.
Well, so another big thing, there's so much cool stories about him.
Do you know what Christmas was like during this time, or did Christmas was it even a thing?
So here in the history of the church, they're still very much debating the time of Easter.
Okay.
So Easter is quite big, or what they call Pascha. Easter is the German word for it. Christmas was in slow development. It did not look like what it looks like now, and nor was it really. The church really.
Was the gift giving, did that come along when St. Nicholas was kind of like attached to it, or was gift giving like already a thing?
I think you're looking.
Or am I way like off time wise?
I think that gift giving is going to still be a handful of years.
Okay.
This is really early Christianity. Still, it's still not legalized. It's just about to become legal during St. Nicholas's lifetime, and so.
They're not throwing a worldwide commercial holiday.
No, not
illegal.
yet.
I see that. Okay.
But and I used to always hear, and you still have people like, Christmas is a pagan holiday.
I've heard that before.
I mean, first of all, I don't think Catholicism has any problem with that. They're like, cool, we're going to baptize that just like we baptize the pagans. That's not a problem for them.
I like that view of it.
Yeah, well, and it's like also, why would you get rid of what's
inclusive?
Bad? Yeah, it's inclusive, and it's like, why would you get rid of what is bad? It was Pope Gregory the Great who said, whenever you go to the pagan cultures, don't destroy who they are. Don't destroy their temples. Don't destroy their music traditions. Don't destroy them. Show them where it really comes from. Point it towards God.
That's a good strategy.
And so,
otherwise, they're going to hate you.
Yeah, I mean, you just took away their whole culture.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's why, though Roman Catholicism has a very Roman culture, it has a very Greek culture, it has a very Jewish culture, it has a lot of cultures coming into it very early on. But the Rome is the biggest culture at that time, so of course that's coming into it. So.
Right. They're almost one and the same now because they've been tied together for so long. Also,
if the church, again, this is the authority kind of maybe some Protestants have a problem with, is like the church, when it understands itself through the biblical text, it understands that whatever it binds here on earth is bound in heaven, or whatever it loosens is loosened. So they have the right to make feast.
Okay.
They have the right to make, hey, this Christmas holiday is going to be
what we want to adopt and what we want to.
Yeah, exactly. And oh my God, it's like, it was not meant to be more popular than Easter. Easter was supposed to be the biggest.
But then Coca-Cola came along and was like, hold my eggnog.
Hold my eggnog. We're doing this.
Yeah.
St. Nick came around. So another big thing that St. Nicholas is known for is known for defeating the goddess Artemis. Yeah.
From Greek mythology.
Okay. Apparently he was like afraid that people would go worship her again in his town. And so there was an epic battle between her and him, and she was a demon that he had to fight.
Wow.
Like
that was awesome.
Like Kingdom Hearts level of action here. It comes, this shadow demon comes out of the statue and he fights it, and the whole building blows apart because of the fight.
His life has so many like supernatural aspects that seem to have happened to him.
It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy to read about him, like literally, like, you know, you think, oh, well, he just, you know, he converted a lot of people. No, he's like known for fighting a goddess.
He's almost like a Jesus type figure in a way.
Absolutely. And for a long time was one of the most popular saints.
I could see that. Well, he gave gifts, so like he kind of bribed everybody to just like become the most popular saint. I'll throw some money down your chimney.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, just it's crazy that like the way that people saw him as a protector, as the defeater of old gods. But
do you think that he looked like Santa Claus now?
Dude, I can only imagine him like lumberjack chiseled, like ready to fight, like ready. He's going sailing. He's fighting demons. Like, this does not seem like a fat, jolly guy. This seems like a guy ready.
Right.
Well, and let's talk about what he did at the Council of Nicaea.
Oh, yes. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah. So at the Council of Nicaea, one of the primary things that this council was dealing with is the Arian heresy. Arian, or Arius, was a bishop who claimed that Jesus was not God.
Okay. The person.
Yeah, he's a person, or like some kind of super angel or something like that. And St. Nicholas is like hearing him talk, and he's kind of like frustrated. He's like, man, this guy's full of it.
Yep.
He's like listening with everyone else, and everyone else is respectfully listening, and he's just like rolling up his cuffs.
But sometimes a good argument doesn't get the point across.
Oh yeah, he's like yum buttons. He's putting those dukes up and
taking his rings off or putting them on, depending on how he wants to go.
And Arius is like, Jesus is not God. St. Nicholas gets up, throws left hook right in the face.
Yes.
And everyone's like, oh my God. Oh,
were they like clapping or were they like?
No, they were like, that was not very Christian of you.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah. And they put him in jail.
They defrocked him too.
Yeah. They're like, you can't be a bishop anymore. They took away his clothes. Well, that night, him and his dreams, he had a dream that Jesus like came to him and he's like, I did this for love of you. And he was given back by Mary his robes.
That's awesome.
All of his chains fell off. And apparently that night, all the bishops had a similar dream where Jesus and Mary came to them and said he was only defending us.
And to free him.
Yeah, and to free him. And so he comes back, they come to the jail place, and he's like in his bishop's robes, ready to go.
Wow.
And they welcome him
Bags
back.
packed. He's ready.
Yeah, and he has his fist out again. Well, anyways, that story was crazy to me. I'm just like a saint who's known for punching someone.
Yes. That's a good claim to fame right there. Well, I mean, if you're going to be Santa Claus, then you might as well get away with a good punch every now and then too.
I know.
Because Santa Claus is going to bury this. We didn't find about this until like 2024 and we're finding out about it. But we knew St. Nicholas Santa Claus all along.
Yeah, and we just find out he's actually has a secret like fight night kind of like thing he does.
He got caught up in the moment at the Nicene Council.
Yeah, this is the first council of the Catholic Church, and someone got punched.
I say it went pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it was like WWE.
Yeah, we need some more of that. We need that in Congress.
Oh,
like right now.
Maybe they would make decisions.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody who goes fisticuff, let's do it.
So they're like breaking the chairs off the bench and stuff like that.
So one of the other miraculous things he's known to do is there was a ship. Well, there was a famine, and there was a supply ship that was coming by, and he was like, "My people are starving. Can we please buy some grain?" And the captain's like, "No, all this grain has been bought. It's all measured. I can't sell you any." He keeps on saying, "Come on, please. I can't let my people die." Eventually, he's like, "Fine, I'll give you 100 measures out of each portion, and that should be fine."
Still charge the other guy full price for
Yeah, right. Well, as the ship is leaving, he remeasures it, and even after dealing it out, all of his stuff is full.
the same.
Same. And apparently, the grains that he left with Nicholas lasted for 2 years. It just kept on coming out.
This is some 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish sort of story.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When you said he was like Christ, you like there is literally stories where he's replicating.
He's doing the same, same little miracles. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was kind of amazing in a lot of ways. The miraculous that's attached to him is just.
So we're kind of like getting into the territory of, I don't think that him being Santa Claus or the inspiration for Santa Claus is very overblown. Like it seems very accurate for him to be the one that Santa Claus is
wonder
based
worker,
on.
right? Yeah, he absolutely is living this up. He did, unlike the Santa Claus that we get from the modern day, he did pass away. When he passed away, he had a very holy death. He approached death very joyfully.
Are there many mysteries surrounding his death, or like
not so much. Like,
was it they're not sure when he died? Or
I don't think we know. We don't even know exactly the years he was born.
That's normal for anything pre 1900.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever he passed, he did say, "Oh Lord, I put my trust in your hand," and he said, "Into your hands I commend my spirit." And then he went into his fatherland,
and he just like disappeared like Yoda.
Yeah, he force ghosted us. Which there's then a lot of things attributed to him, a lot of miraculous things attributed to who he was. Sailors would often, before going out, ask him for prayers.
I read that.
He would be the protector of children. Like, he's more known in the East as kind of a badass. Mm-hmm. He's not like known in this kind of whimsical cherry Coke with his little
rosy red cheeks
and overweight.
Yeah,
ate too much sausage.
I wonder where we got the overweight Santa from.
He didn't drink too much Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Eggnog and Coca-Cola.
Exactly. You can't be the sponsor of Coca-Cola or the face of Coca-Cola if you're not a little bit chunky.
You don't go to a UFC fight seeing like Coca-Cola sponsors.
It's like you can't be the face of Subway without being a pedophile. But there was no context for that.
None. But allegedly, very quickly, people took on those legends. They celebrated his feast, which is the day that he died, December 6th.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what the feast day is based on.
Yeah,
is that normal for feast days to be based
on? Very normal.
Day that they died? Okay.
That's like the day that they're like, go to heaven, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's like the idea.
The ascension.
The ascension of that. He was very quickly a character like that. People said, he'd had red bishop robes. He filled his boots with gifts and came at the night. Like, this legend happened almost 300s, 400s, started spreading like crazy.
But these gifts that he gave, like, they're not like a new Xbox or whatever.
No, they were
the thing of the day is like he would give like fruit and nuts and candies, which I wonder what the candies were like back then.
We should get some old Roman candy things and make them.
Dude, there was something. Oh man, I'm gonna butcher this story, so I'm probably not gonna leave it in the thing. But they found it was like a recipe for some kind of Roman like fish paste sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
and they either uncovered the recipe recently or they uncovered the cooking mechanism that was built into the ground in like the coast of Spain or the coast, like the Mediterranean side of it. And they were going to use the authentic cooking ware or that was like carved out of a stone in the ground to like make the fish paste stuff. This was like a year ago and they were going to sell it, but it was going to take months for it to make. Like it had to like ferment and stuff. I meant to check back on it and to see if they were actually like had finished it and were going to sell it because I really wanted to get some of the.
How much do you think that would cost?
I have no idea, but it's like it was some like Mediterranean famous fish condiment thing that was like it was like the sriracha of the Mediterranean. Yes, and everybody wanted it.
We need to get that.
We need to look back on it.
Yeah, we definitely need to get that.
Sorry for taking us off track all the time. But
that's literally what we're here for.
This is Legends and Libations. This is not Pedantics and Pedialyte.
Exactly. So, in other parts of Europe, he would be known. So, like in Germany, in a certain part of Germany, he was known to be accompanied by farmhand Rupert, who threatened to eat misbehaved children.
Wow.
I don't know how that got in there, but that sounds very German.
It sounds like you didn't do your homework and you're just like throwing together some words to scare the kids. It's like the local guy, Farmer Bruden or whatever his name is, Rhubarb.
So that actually does remind me. So back in the day, did I tell you about Junkie Joe?
No.
Okay. So there was a junkyard kind of guy that lived close to us in Michigan. I never saw him a day in my life.
Never saw him.
But he went to my parents' house once looking for some piece of junk that was stolen from his property. And he had a gun.
He's all the junk accounted for so that he could find it.
Yeah. Well, and he only lived like across the woods from us. But my parents, or my mom particularly, was like, oh, yeah, that. I don't know. Somehow she gave him the name Junkie Joe, who wanted his trash. But we had this whole mythology created about
That's great.
Where we wouldn't go to a certain part of the woods because Junkie Joe would be looking for you with his Rottweilers, ready to like tear you apart if you touched his junk. And we had like literally end of the street dirt road legends.
Amazing. That's like hyper localized folklore.
It was so localized that where we were always warning people, oh, you can't go over there. Junkie Joe's over there.
I wonder if they still are like afraid of him in that area.
Yeah,
now.
right.
That would be crazy.
That reminds me exactly of Farmhand Rupert. He's like the local like.
Junkie Joe.
Yeah, Junkie Joe is like, oh yeah.
Farmhand Rupert's going to come and get you with his junkyard dogs.
And then there's in Switzerland, St. Nicholas threatens to put wicked children in a sack and bring them back to the Black Forest.
I've been to the Black Forest. It's not so bad.
Yeah, well.
They've got ham. I think they'd make clocks too.
Yeah, that doesn't seem so bad. It's like a vacation. In the Netherlands, St. Nicholas's helper would tie them in a sack and bring them back to Spain. Which again,
Spain must have been like Cuba or something like that.
Yeah, like why is that a bad thing? In parts of Austria, a priest dressed up in Christmas garb would visit the homes of naughty children and threaten them with a rod.
Well, see, now they're dressing in Christmas garb.
Yeah.
So like, what is it?
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that, right?
Always want to know.
Of course, during the later, and we'll get into this later in the Reformation, the holding of the saints or like the honoring of the saints became less popular, obviously. And
when was that? That was in the 1600s?
1600s, which we won't skip there so quickly. But yeah, Luther had a huge problem with it. He said all these legends were just like all these beliefs were built around legends and superstitions. And he was like, this is against moralism. Mm-hmm. And so he replaced St. Nicholas Day with a different holiday called Christ Child. Or Christ Kindle.
Was it super boring?
Yeah, and ironically it became Kris Kringle, which became another word for Santa Claus.
Oh, wait. So you're saying we get to Santa Claus in like another route?
Yeah.
With another folklore?
Oh, there's so many of these.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So he's trying to avoid Santa Claus, but he's too...
All roads lead to Santa Claus.
Yeah, every road leads to Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. It's like if you go north, you're going to go to the North Pole because... all roads lead to Santa Claus.
All roads lead to Santa Claus.
It's the rule of the sphere.
Yeah. Everything goes to the North Pole where he lives, which is also part of the traditional legend for me as a child is he lives in North Pole. Is that the same for you?
Yes. I don't think we mentioned that, but
yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize that I don't think there's even land mass really at the North Pole. It's just ice like there is Antarctica. spoiler alert, which we might be doing an episode on
very soon.
in the new year for season 2.
Yeah.
But it's not the same thing. Like there wouldn't be any like permanent settlements in the North Pole. So that gives it its own like fantasy aspects to it.
He's a wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also like when we're thinking of like this Saint Nicholas that we just went over, he's from Greece, and he's he's the bishop of Myra. He's loved in the Greek Orthodox and Eastern Catholic churches. He's held high. In fact, there was a time when I went to
today.
Today. I went to a Polish Catholic church for a little while when I was living in New York, and they would have during this time on December 6th, Saint Nicholas would come visit, and it was Santa Claus but dressed in all the traditional bishop garbs that were red, and it was kind of a mixed thing. It would be Saint Nicholas, though, not Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. He definitely has different attire.
Oh yeah,
The way that
it's more mythic.
Yes,
it feels much more medieval.
The hat thing is a lot different. It's like a cylinder with a cross on it. It probably has a name. Yeah. But he has like a rod that's curled.
Oh, yeah. The
like
bishop staff.
Yes. Like a shepherd. I think that's what it represents.
Exactly.
Like leading a flock.
Did you see the new bishop staff of the new? So Notre Dame was just remade.
I did see that.
And the bishop staff literally looks like a kingdom key from Kingdom's Hearts.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It just has this blue thing in the middle. It's so cool looking. But his robe kind of looked like a Uno card, you know.
His Saint Nick's robe?
No, the
bishop that was robe. In the thing.
From Notre Dame, but Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
It's Notre Dame if it's the football team, right?
I think so. Don't quote me on these things. Especially not anything to do with football.
So Saint Nicholas ends up being a pretty cool saint.
I think so.
But
I've changed my mind on him, I think.
I think Saint Nicholas, I would say he's a badass.
Yes, he deserves it.
Yeah. And he's cool. He's very charitable, he's very kind, but he
knows when to throw a right hook.
He throws a right hook, he fights demons, but he also takes care of children and the poor and doesn't want people to become prostitutes. I feel like this is all good things.
Mm-hmm. I support his decision.
Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nicholas.
But of course, Santa Claus isn't just Saint Nicholas.
Is this a segue?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely, because I can't just say Saint Nicholas and then Santa Claus, right?
Right.
Where did the punishment come in? Where did all these other stories come from?
It seems like there was like always a punishment at some point because
it grew very early on, but not with Saint Nicholas.
But you needed someone to deliver the punishment.
Well, because Saint Nicholas was too good to do so, right?
Yes.
Like Saint Nicholas wasn't going to give you, like, if you were doing something bad, there's times he got people.
You couldn't imagine him beating you.
Unless you were a heretic.
Right, exactly. Well,
or a demon goddess.
He couldn't beat a child. That would be like Gandhi beating a child.
Yeah. No, there's no way. In fact, he's known for so much for saving children or saving thieves who are repentant, or like he does not have that in him.
So we need someone to beat a child, basically.
Exactly. Who's going to beat the child?
Who's going to beat a child? Do we have any volunteers?
It's not St. Nicholas.
No, it is the part goat, part demon, part human hybrid known as Krampus.
Okay, so Krampus is something I know so little about it. Recently, I've been getting a lot of things in my feed. Apparently, he has like
about
a celebration
Krampus.
On the 5th, which is the day before St. Nicholas, but I know nothing about Krampus.
Yeah, so at some point, well, let me rewind. Like in modern day, or for the last contemporary amount of time, Krampus has kind of been like a counterpoint to St. Nicholas or to Santa Claus, and he's kind of been like you have Krampus and St. Nick are like the carrot and the stick. St. Nick is the carrot, he's the reward, and Krampus is the stick, he's the punishment. So like you have the motivation to be good. Is it the reward that motivates you, or is it the fear of the punishment that motivates you?
Heaven or hell?
Yeah, exactly. Fire and brimstone. Yeah. No, those are both the punishments. But
fire and brimstone punishment.
Well, it depends. If you need fire to cook with, then I guess it could be a good thing.
It also warms the house in a cold winter.
That's a good point, and we'll come back to that later. That point exactly when we talk about Iceland. But okay, so Krampus is, I don't know if you've watched like the movie. There's been a kind of like a resurgence in the popularity of Krampus in the 21st century.
Yeah, past 10 years.
Past 10 years too. Yes, I'd never heard about him before. Like just hearing the name of him. And for some reason in my head, I kind of just had him as like a bad Santa, not like the Billy Bob Thornton bad Santa, but just like a Santa that was bad.
Yeah. Okay.
And but
So
it turns
he's
out
not-
that he doesn't look like a bad Santa at all. Actually, like Krampus, he has various depictions, but often he is portrayed as a hairy horned goat demon with a long tongue like a serpent. And most of the time he has one cloven hoof for a leg and one human leg. And he carries
Ew.
a bundle of birch rods around to whip naughty children with the birch rods.
Oh my goodness.
But he also has like a leather backpack that he puts the really bad kids in, and he takes them back to hell, where I guess they spend all eternity. I'm not sure what the defining line is between you getting the birch rod and you getting like the one-way trip to hell. It kind of just seems like a slippery slope to all eternity, but that's for Krampus's discernment, I suppose. But
So
here's
he looks. Let me get this correct. He looks like Pan essentially. the
yes,
god
he
Pan.
has a very Pan
goat like head.
I'll put this picture in the description or like up
and
on the screen.
He also has a beard like Santa, but then he has a goat head and long ears.
I made this one with AI, so
Oh, okay.
100% like accurate.
Okay, so
But I like this one better than like a lot of the ones that I saw.
okay, good. So he has a goat head, and you said one of his foot.
Is it like a cloven hoof,
What's the other one?
human foot?
Why?
I don't know, because he represents like the duality of
Duality of demon and human.
yes.
Okay, interesting.
He's terrifying, basically.
yeah, he seems terrifying.
Okay, so the big thing when you research Krampus is that you're going to see a lot of sources that tell you that he is from pagan belief systems that were pre-Christian and that he's been around for a long time. I've drank more than you, so you can have that bit. But if you have any left over, I'll definitely take it because I love the eggnog. But that just might be sort of just trying to like set the record straight after the fact or whatever, or just like fit the narrative to like suit our modern day needs, because there's actually like no references to Krampus from old pagan texts or like old pagan rituals or anything like that.
So there's like they think that he's not actually.
They don't think that he's from pagan. Now, there might be some confusion with another entity that around the 12th century. This is in around the German Alpine regions. That was called Perchta or Perchta, and it was kind of associated like with like maybe like winter solstice, like punishment of children and things like that. But I don't think that it looked like Krampus, and they could just be like looking to the past to try to like see something to
like trying to make it fit.
Yes, yeah, to trying to make it fit, because it seems like Krampus was kind of invented as a analog or like a counterpoint to Saint Nicholas, to like to be his opposite.
So is he like the nega or a version of
Yeah,
him?
exactly.
Interesting.
Because you always need those like two parts going on to have an interesting.
Saint Nicholas almost seems too good.
Too good. Yeah,
So
exactly.
they have to have someone who's too bad. So bad that he kind of looks like a demon.
Most definitely looks like a demon.
Yeah.
And another part of his description is that you'll see him portrayed with like chains on him, or he's like dragging chains, or he has chains around his chest that you kind of hear like clanking. And it's a very menacing picture to like be like a child in this like dark time in medieval and Renaissance history, where you're afraid in the cold winter of hearing the chains or the bells. Sometimes that he would wear bells on his belt as well, and you would hear them coming because you knew that if Krampus came, that meant that there was a good chance that you were going to, at minimum, get whipped by the birch rods.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does sound terrible. But then you have the argument that the chains were just added later when Christianity took over the myth to try to represent how Krampus is like bound to hell. Like if he's a representation of the devil, then it's the binding of the devil. The chains represent that he's still contained to some degree. He's he's on the loose, but he's on the loose with like a license. Like, well, I mean, I guess he can take the children to hell, but he's not going to take the adults to hell. I don't know, but
he can beat them, but he can't destroy them.
So they don't necessarily know exactly like where his origins come from, but in High German there is a word called Krampen, and Krampen means claw, and you kind of associate him with like having claws for hands.
So he's like the real Santa Claus.
He puts the claws in Santa Claus. There you go. I was trying to think of a pun with White Claws, but I think that's actually better.
I also think of like when Jack in Nightmare Before Christmas misunderstands Santa Claus as Santa Claus. And
I love Nightmare Before Christmas.
Such a good one.
Yes.
This is the perfect time to watch it between Christmas and between Halloween and Christmas is like the time.
It's a marketing genius move to make a movie that
you can
incorporates
do it
both
either
Halloween
or.
and
Yeah.
Christmas. Exactly.
Fantastic.
But so there were no references to Krampus before the 17th century. So it seems like it was more of a recent thing where they actually called him Krampus and had him be the counterpoint to St. Nicholas. But
They're afraid everyone was getting too nice like St. Nicholas, and they're like, we need something evil to hurt people.
Exactly. We're giving
people toughen people up.
These gifts are costing us way too much. We got to get production costs down. So we need to start whipping the kids and not giving them gifts.
Yeah.
Let's move the goalpost. But so you mentioned that Krampus had his own night. That was the night before St. Nicholas. Yeah. So St. Nicholas is on the 6th, and then on Krampus, it's called Krampus Nacht, which means Krampus night.
Yeah.
And it happens on the 5th of December. And in a bunch of these Central European towns and villages, they have these things called Krampus runs. Have you seen this?
I recently
You
saw
can probably imagine it if you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, that it's where a bunch of like young men, I guess young men, but men of all ages probably dress up in various disguises of Krampus with these elaborate wooden masks, and they have the chains and they have the whips, and they go out into the streets, they get drunk, and they just run through the town like a parade, but kind of like a loosely contained parade. And they scare children and they scare bystanders and they chase people down. In
it's like a haunted house, but in the middle of your
yes,
city.
exactly. It's like taking over your city. I think I read that it was like in 2016 or something like that in one of these towns that 80 people had to go to the hospital.
They whip them with birch?
There was just like conflict between like the people dressed as Krampus and like the children's parents, I guess, that got scared, and like the bystanders and stuff. Like, I don't know why you would go and be a bystander for a parade where you might get into a fight with the people that are in the parade, but that's kind of what it sounds like. And 8 of those people were like admitted to the hospital with serious injuries, and the other ones all had like outpatient. They were like treated and were able to go home.
Holy crap.
Yes, it sounds like it's a big thing.
Could you imagine like just getting straight, just drunk as heck, like taking Legends and Libations and like liberating
It's
ourselves?
like Legends and Libations Fight Club and Halloween at the same time.
Who am I? Am I St. Nicholas with the fist, or am I Krampus with the fist? I'm
If
not
you have
positive.
one hoof on one foot and one regular foot, and then you can just be the best of both worlds.
Yeah, right.
So, but they got super drunk because it was kind of like a tradition to like give away schnapps.
Oh, nice.
To if like the Krampus bros came to your house and were like knocking on your door, if you gave them some schnapps, they would like go away and like just drink it and go away.
The Krampus Bros.
Yeah, I just made that up.
I like this. The Krampus Bros. I want to be part of the Krampus Bros.
Me too. It
Give
was
me
kind of
schnapps.
like a rite of passage for the young men to do a Krampus run once in their lifetime. It was just like kind of an experience that you need to have.
Could you imagine doing that here? We just get beat
Trying to
up.
think of like what the equivalent of that would be here. It sounds like people doing like a senior prank or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think we have
at their
an
high
equivalent
school.
here.
Yeah,
I think we need to go there.
we need to go there.
I want to go on a Krampus run.
I think that would be acceptable.
Yeah. Legends Libations on location if you wish to support
Krampus
us.
run.
Yeah, Krampus run.
Go look up some of the pictures of the Krampus runs. Like they're like the most elaborate, really scary Halloween type stuff that you could imagine. If you were a child, like I saw videos of children at the Krampus runs encountering like the various Krampuses and like bawling their eyes out at them because they were so scary. So I can't imagine like why the parents would even bring them for that in the first place. Oh, I don't know if I
Scare their
mentioned
children to do what's right.
Yes,
They're
if
like, you're being a naughty kid. I'm going to take you to Krampus run.
this is what awaits you if you do not behave this year.
Could you imagine the fear? Like, because now it's like, you're going to get coal. And you're like, what am I going to do with coal? Go grill for you?
That's so
like,
funny.
It's like you're going to get beaten by this half demon goat like
and
creature.
maybe and probably licked by their super long like Gene Simmons tongue because if I didn't mention that before, they have like a giant tongue, like a snake.
Yeah, it's like
sort of
serpent tongue, right?
Yeah, and if you look at a lot of the pictures of Krampus, he'll often have his tongue exposed and maybe be licking somebody, which you don't want to be licked by anybody, let alone this like smelly half goat demon hybrid.
You think it smells bad?
He's got to. All evil things always smell bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like part and parcel with the
I think of
profession.
Dante's Inferno. Every level smelled bad. Mm-hmm. Every level.
Sulfur, like at minimum, and
but also like
rotten meat
and shit.
Yeah.
Like this is no way of getting around it.
Getting right to it.
Yeah, getting right to the dirty.
One of the interesting things that I read is that, you know how they had how Europe is dealing with like the big influx of immigrants from the Middle East because of like the destabilization in the Middle East regimes causes people to immigrate north into Europe.
Absolutely.
Is that they were concerned in these European countries about how the immigrants would respond to these like Krampus runs and like the Krampus knocks, and how the immigrants were just like, what in the world is going on? All these people dress up like Krampus and run through their streets at night.
You could imagine that being really scary. Like if that happened here in like, just imagine here in town, that happens all of a sudden. You're like, all right, apocalypse.
Yes, exactly.
It's happening. It's over.
Well, being in like a place where you like don't know anybody and don't speak the language or anything, and you're like, well, I'm trying to get used to the customs and to like find the grocery store or the public restroom, and then these people are dressing up as like horned demons and screaming at your kids and stuff. You would think that they were doing it to like make you leave.
Yeah, you'd be like,
I would think you're like, all right,
maybe it is better to go deal with the regime.
Yeah, exactly. I thought Europe was progressive. Oh man, that would be another fun reason to go see them, because I would just like, or it's advertised as just like a parade or something like that, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna like take my 15 kids to this like parade thing that I just brought off the boat across the Mediterranean from Syria that's like on fire somewhere, and all these horned demons are like, yes, trying to lick my children. I think I'm gonna get back on the boat.
I'll get back on going home.
Oh, that's funny.
It was easier to deal with the regime over there.
Yep. And it was, because they got rid of Assad in Syria like yesterday.
Did that happen?
Yeah. So now it's like I guess the ISIS guys, or maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? I know that they destroyed their air defense systems, as like Israel and America destroyed their air defense systems so that the rebels wouldn't be able to like seize control of their like normal high grade military weapons.
If you just said the moon of this place and that rather than Israel and whatnot, it would sound like you're talking about Star Wars.
Yes, it does have that sort of like feel to it.
Yeah.
Look up a Star Wars map one day, or like a Star Wars universe map, and like look at all the stars in it and like see like the planets and stuff, and it'll like blow your mind. Like Casey and I downloaded a high res photo of the Star Wars universe and spent like 45 minutes looking for the planet where Mandalorian takes place, only for me to Google it and be like, Mandalorian planet is like not a defined place in the Star Wars canon yet, so it doesn't appear on any maps. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that would have saved me 45 minutes of looking at these little dots on the screen. But the detail in it is really cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, so more about Krampus.
Okay, so I've got a couple more things about Krampus. Apparently, I guess, when did we say printing press was invented?
So I think it would have been the 1500s.
All right, so skip ahead of that. For some reason, postcards got popular in the late 1800s.
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't know why specifically. Maybe it was like the
Pretty
global tourism sort of thing, wanting to see places that were foreign.
Yeah, and you also have like colonization had already was
Britain
underway. Yeah. And we're looking at close to Britain being like that space when the sun is not setting on the British Empire. Spain and Portugal own half of the world. You know, it's like,
okay.
Yeah, we're looking at.
So it was more global than you would normally think.
Oh yeah, which is then why you would want to send postcards of a place.
Okay, so postcards got really popular around this time, and one of the main themes that drove the popularity of the postcards was these holiday postcards that involved Krampus and St. Nicholas, and particularly Krampus, and they would draw him with like his long tongue, and he would be licking kids and stuff like that. And
he seems so bad.
Exactly. And then they also had like overtly sexual ones where he would be like trying to get with some attractive females as well.
Really?
In addition
Victorian age.
Yeah, exactly. So they were just like super scandalous is what I think absolutely. That the Krampus postcards.
Ankles and all.
Yes. And that brings me to how Krampus was actually illegal to tell children about Krampus in Austria in 1932. Like they had, before Nazis took over Germany, Austria had this super, I wouldn't say not Orthodox Christian, but like not evangelical, but you know what I'm trying to say. Took over like the government.
Form.
Yes, yeah. and they banned Krampus and all depictions of him. And if you were dressed as Krampus in the streets, they would arrest you.
Wow.
And in this one town, if you wanted to be like a St. Nicholas at a mall sort of thing or whatever, that you had to have a license to be St. Nicholas that said that you wouldn't have any like Krampus fellows with you or anything. Yes.
So it was really popular.
Apparently so. And they took it very seriously. There was another time in history where they banned Krampus from like telling children about Krampus because they thought that it would like corrupt them or scare them. Because I guess they were young and impressionable children. Young,
impressionable children. They're like, I want to grow up and be like Krampus.
Yes, and they're not dealing with like typhoid fever and like famine and other like real problems. But they have to also like the government spends its time in a meeting saying like, all right, we're gonna have to get rid of Krampus. We're not gonna worry about feeding the population or about like the Black Death or the fact that no one washes their hands and things like that.
We're worried about Krampus.
Yes.
He's a bad influence.
Yes, we got to get rid of that Krampus guy.
Bad old Krampus.
I totally believe that, though. Have you watched any of the Krampus movies that have come out?
I have not.
Okay, so I watched the Krampus theatrical release movie. It was like a big to-do thing. It had Adam Scott, but it kind of like it had some scary moments. In the Krampus movie, and he was like associated with Christmas, and he came down the chimney and he like fed off of the fear of the characters, and I thought that they did a good job with creating the element of fear of Krampus and even his depiction, like his like physical appearance. But the plot was totally stolen from the movie Labyrinth with David Bowie.
That's funny.
Yes, it was like this kid makes this wish that says that he hates this family, and it was kind of like Home Alone and the Labyrinth like put together. And he tears up his letter to Santa and he throws it in the fire, and it like blows away in the ashes. And Krampus is like, "Oh, like this is my license to come in and ruin the family.
Here, this is bad juju. I'm going to come in." That's amazing.
It didn't have enough screen time of Krampus. It kind of like gave him his gang of merry men that kind of like went with him, like his sidekick demons. And they were like, oh, like these rogue gingerbread men and this like accordion thing that eats children. And they caused most of the havoc in the movie. So Krampus was kind of like a looming off camera figure a lot of the time.
Which you'd want him to be a little bit more on.
Yeah.
So how in the past, how did it happen? Did St. Nicholas and Krampus visit at the same time?
Sometimes on the pictures I saw, they were just like being buddies, like broing up, and like
fist bump between the holy and the unholy. Wow! And then they were like, let's do this.
It's sort of like in is it Bugs Bunny or where they go and like him and like the hunter guy go and like punch their clocks for the day, and then they become they're friends outside of work, and they punch their clocks, and then one of them chases the other one. For the whole like work day, and then at the end of the day they go and like punch their clocks and they're friends again. It kind of reminded me of that.
That's okay, cool.
But yeah, he was going to beat you with the birch rods, and I forgot to look up a significance of like what the birch rods meant, like symbolically. Because you come across this like birch rod thing pretty often, but the only thing I could find was that sometimes I think before Krampus was necessarily associated with Christmas, he might visit you during another part of the year. And if you were just like on the borderline of getting on the naughty list, or like
he'd give you like a warning,
he would give you a bundle of golden birch rods, or like birch rods with like gold leaf sort of like stuff on them to preserve them. And you would put them on the kitchen table or the dining room table to remind you to be good for the rest of the year. Or if not, then that's what you're going to be getting hit with. It's like when your dad says, go pick out a switch like from the bush, because you know you're going to get a beating, and you want to pick out the one that's going to break really easily. But then he goes, no, this one's not good enough. And then he like gets the whole limb and he beats you with it. I'm just kidding. That didn't happen.
Talking about German legends.
Talking about getting beat.
Talking about beat. German legends, and also just it being Christmas, I did grab us a beer because I figured after all the sweetness, we're going to want something a little bit more.
Absolute opposite of sweet.
Yeah.
Is a beer.
Is a beer. So I got this St. Bernardus Christmas ale. It has a monk on the front.
Does it have anything to do with dogs? With like St. Bernard?
No, I think this actually has to do with the Saint.
Bernardus. I see.
Yeah, St. Bernardus.
Wow. If he grew a beard, he could be a good Santa.
I know. His cheeks are so rosy.
I was going to say he's so fat.
And he's wearing a Christmas hat. Look at that.
Yeah,
he's wearing the same hats we're wearing.
What? That's not chronologically accurate.
I think he's some kind of monk. Anyways, I'm going to have to open this. I don't know if it's...
Is it going to pop off like a champagne bottle? No, but I saw a little bit of like the
Little
mist going out of there.
This is 1 pint, 10% alcohol volume. So I guess I'll try pouring us each a bit.
While you're talking about that, I've got one more thing about Krampus.
Because this is also from Germany.
So if you research Krampus at all, and like in the same party that says that Krampus was the adaptation of pagan folklore into Christian traditions, part of the reason that they'll give, or the evidence that they'll give, is they'll say that Krampus was the son of a Norse god named Hel, Hel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, which is where the word hell comes from.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was originally called Sheol or Hades.
Sheol, yes, I've heard of this. But this was all an invention of a fiction writer in the 20th century. He wrote a book that was called Krampus the Yule God, or Krampus the Yule Lord, he was trying to like give some credence to the backstory of Krampus. So he made up that he was the son of the Norse god, and that all comes from this book. Like it's not based on anything.
So it's totally fake.
It's totally fake. But all websites that I looked at took this and ran with it and were like, oh, this is real. Like this is what it comes from.
It's crazy how many, because people so much want to associate things and let's say, hey, look, what came from like this background. It's the same happens with like Christmas. They're like, oh, well, it's pagan. Well, sure, they celebrated some kind of festival in Rome on a winter solstice, just like everyone everywhere.
Yes.
But I'm not positive that's enough to say, oh, look, they're similar. They got it from each other. I'm like, that's not quite enough.
No, it's not. Just the same time does not equal that it's borrowed from directly.
Yeah. You're going to have just a huge
mug. How much is left in that big glass that you've got?
Like still a bit. So I think the rest.
I would imagine so, because it said like 1.5 pints or 1. I don't know, 1.9. So
1 pint, 9.4 fluid ounces.
It's confusing when they put ounces on there instead of like decimal system, because it makes you think that they're going to go to 10, but they're not. They're going to 16.
Yeah, exactly. So
look at that head on my beer.
There's that huge
camera.
So this is I'm sorry. I was pouring it and it didn't go. So I think the rest. Well, we'll split between us. Anyways.
I'll definitely split it between us.
But you think you need a bit more after you drink some.
About to finish my eggnog over here, which actually went faster than I expected, because you had that big bottle, but I was like,
it's all gone.
Yeah, we killed that bottle.
We killed the bottle. We also have more rum and coke always, but I still have a few more drinks for us. Again, this is St. Bernardus, their Christmas ale. I found the last one. I had a lot of luck with beers finding the last ones, which we'll go over the next one.
It was meant to be.
So connecting to Yuletide is interesting. So
you're going to tell me what Yuletide means?
Yeah, Yuletide is like the Norse or Viking world's like old, that was their Christmas season, but it's
or their solstice sort of time of year.
Yeah, but it's used in Christendom quite a bit also.
Yule log.
Yeah. It's the log that you throw. I mean, I'm sure there's some sacrifice attached to it that I don't know about.
Yeah,
but
the human part of the sacrifice. Yeah,
you see that in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which is a medieval Christmas tale.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think you've mentioned Sir Gawain before.
I mentioned it probably in Sir Orfeo. It's just,
and every other episode that we have.
Yeah, we love Yule.
It's a running joke on Legends and Libations.
Everything's connected to everything else. If it's not connected to Nazis, it's connected
Jesse
to
loves Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
I do. I think everyone should read it this Christmas season.
Before we do an episode on it next Christmas.
Yeah, next Christmas we're definitely doing an episode on it. So one of the things
that's why we're getting rid of all of the Christmas folklore tonight, is so that we won't have an excuse. Because when I was looking up researching this, they were like, oh, here's an episode on Krampus, here's an episode on blah blah blah, whatever to do with Christmas. But we're throwing them all together in one, so that Sir Gawain can have his own episode.
Yeah, because we don't need to do that. Even though I'm going to make reference to him in just a sec, because that's the way I do. So first of all, Yuletide, the word Yule, was kind of started disappearing. It's still used, but no
one knows what it means.
Yeah, it started disappearing about the 11th century, so that's pretty early on.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
But in England, there was a character called Father Christmas.
Was that his real name?
Yeah, he's called Father Christmas. Have you ever heard of him?
I need to see some ID.
Yeah, guys. And a lot of times he's associated, like modern day, he is Santa Claus.
When was this?
We're talking
11th century, or
here we're talking like 11th to 13th century.
So this is definitely after Saint Nick. This
Yeah.
is Father Christmas. Okay.
but he's not really really defined until much later. So originally there's this character that kind of resembles Christmas. Let me pour you the rest of your beer
Thank you.
because we need to try this beer. You're just gonna have just a giant foam. Okay.
Oh, I like that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So again, let's try St. Bernardus, the Christmas ale.
Do I just like
Just
Mouth
bite
it.
it. Yeah. Just like the
butterbeer?
Yeah, butterbeer, exactly.
That didn't go so well for me.
wow. That's
It tastes a lot different than normal beer after
Yeah.
having the eggnog immediately afterwards or before.
yeah, but that beer is a sweeter beer.
Mm-hmm. I can tell it's like it's a European, or what do you say,
Yeah.
Belgium?
German.
German,
Yeah,
okay.
I think, well, let me look. I just assumed it was German, but
So one of my favorite beers or my first favorite beer that I ever had was called Leffe.
oh,
You
it's
ever had
Belgium.
this
Sorry,
before?
it's a Belgium ale.
Yes, that's what I'm going to say. Leffe is like Leffe. Have you
Yeah,
had
yeah.
that? It comes with the gold foil on the top of it. And like you break it off. This reminds me of that.
Yeah.
And that is a really good beer.
It doesn't have your like American beer taste. It's a little sweet, has a hoppiness that's happy. It's not too much.
I mean, it tastes like politically charged ideology. Or it doesn't taste like that.
It doesn't
Like in America.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like politically charged ideology. It doesn't taste like hipster beer like IPAs.
Beers have their own personalities.
Yeah, this beer is like, I'm gonna hang out by the campfire. No. I'm gonna hang out by the fire inside the fireplace. Yeah, and
Fire pit.
It's Christmas, and I'm gonna wait until everyone goes to sleep before I put those gifts out.
Why would you not?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat the cookies and the milk after I have this beer.
Exactly.
Good night, children.
I'm going to mix the beer with the milk.
Oh, maybe this also makes me want to pray matins, just like Saint Nicholas, because it does have a monk on the front of it, a very joyful monk.
We have lots of different monks, though, as we have learned from
Yeah,
our research.
All kinds.
They can be all over the place.
Oh, everywhere. So, yeah, Father Christmas originally starts off as this kind of spirit of Christmas.
What do you mean by
associated-
spirit?
He is like the embodiment of the season of Christmas. So, like, as a spirit that embodies Christmas.
Do you mean like Charles Dickens, like Christmas Carol?
It is like that, but like he's much later.
Oh, yeah.
But this starts in the medieval age.
Okay, I see what you're meaning.
Dare I say it? And he wore green and everything.
Oh, he's a Mountain Dew Santa.
Yeah. Mountain Dew Santa.
There we go.
He actually, I wonder if there's some correlation between the Green Knight. I know. I told you I was going to mention Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
That's so
I told
funny.
you. Because he's like really like green robe. He has the fur, the white fur, and he's kind of like that, like,
He's kind of like suave.
yeah,
or whatever.
suave, joyful,
Charismatic.
jubilant. And like you think of the Green Knight in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which again, this is not the episode for. But
We're going to do a composite episode where it's just like clips of all of our shows, and it makes one episode of the
that's
Green
one
Knight.
episode.
Yeah.
But like that Green Knight appears with a holly branch and an axe. And you're like, what does that have to do with Christmas? Find out next year. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Yeah. But
Does holly have anything to do with like mistletoe or?
it's a different symbol, but yeah, same.
Okay.
So like the Green Knight, the Christmas spirit is already a embodiment that exists in the ancient world, but it's not really elaborated on. In fact, it doesn't really become Father Christmas until like the 13th century. It is a spirit that involves itself in Christmas. It is very like,
It's still pretty long ago though.
yeah. I mean, like if you read the Green Knight, like it literally is a Christmas spirit. It's weird. It's amazing. And you're like, why is it there? But no, it's it really gains its name in the 1300s, or sorry, 13th century, 1400s. And there's
Okay, Jesse, I've been drinking. So Father Christmas, this is his name.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing than St. Nicholas, yet it gets involved with St. Nicholas.
Does Father Christmas have a first name?
Nope.
Okay, well, I guess St. Nicholas doesn't have a last name.
Yeah, so is he Nicholas Christmas?
Hey, Nick Christmas.
Nick Christmas. Yeah, no, but like right now in modern times, Father Christmas is just Santa Claus.
Right.
They're the same, but he's not the same thing at this time. He's not necessarily Saint Nicholas, but he's the spirit that encompasses Christmas. They're in the Richard Smart, the rector in Devon during 1435 to 1477, says that this spirit announces the news of Christ's birth, and encourages the listeners to drink.
Oh, nice.
He's super Legends and Libations
He
supportive.
is.
He says, make good cheer and be right merry.
I love that.
And sing with us now, joyful Noel, Noel. He is embodiment of good cheer, good Christmas party, dirty Santa all around, right?
Dirty Santa all around.
Yeah, he's amazing.
So this is Father Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. And he's the embodiment of announcing Christmas.
He's this very spirit of Christmas.
Okay, so he's letting you know that
Yeah.
it's on its way.
It's weird because
He's the you better watch out.
he's like the primordial spirit that behind Christmas. Mm-hmm. And of
Ghost
course,
of Christmas present.
yeah, he's Christmas present.
Yeah.
He absolutely. Charles Dickens bases his Christmas present off of Father Christmas.
I would like to analyze that sometime because it's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
But like,
It's a lot deeper than it seems like when you just like watch it.
well, and have you seen the Christmas Carol on stage before? By the way,
No, mostly familiar with the
was me.
Muppet. I thought that was the cat. The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah,
is
that's
probably
good.
our favorite one.
Yeah, that's
with
good.
Michael Caine plays Scrooge in that one.
Nice.
Yes, and he's just like humbug. You're like, wow.
Yeah. So Charles Dickens is probably one of the big reasons Christmas was again a big celebration
see
in the
that.
English world. So let's talk about this a little bit. Father Christmas becomes very popular in the 16th century when Catholicism becomes illegal in England.
Illegal. So
Yeah.
when the Anglican Church starts.
Yeah. So the Reformation, they did not like the idea of saints. Well, not all
They
Reformation.
just thought they spent too much time on them.
Yeah. So they were like, let's push these saints away.
Let's get rid of those saints.
Yeah, let's get rid of them. And so, rather than celebrating,
Rather than put the spotlight on Jesus, they put the spotlight back on things that they were familiar with.
yeah, somehow it becomes very Father Christmas oriented, and that Father Christmas spirit becomes, rather than celebrating on December 6th, Father Christmas kind of takes in the Christmas spirit, but that's not where it ends. In fact, lots of Protestants themselves were like, this is problematic. Ben Jonson, who is known for writing tons and tons of like plays, fantastic playwright.
Ben Jonson.
Yeah, dare I say, equal and contemporary to Shakespeare, but of course Shakespeare has a lot more popularity. But he would dress like Father Christmas, like in all the garb on Christmas Day, and go to the Protestant service.
That's cool.
And he would say, "Why, gentlemen, do you know what you do? Ha! Would you have kept me out?" He dressed as Father Christmas, right? Christmas, old Christmas, Christmas of London, the captain of Christmas. They would not let me in. He's talking about the Protestant church. I must come another time, a good jest, as if to come more than once a year. Why? I am no dangerous person. He's like, I'm not a dangerous person. He would dress as Father Christmas with a whole bunch of guards around him. And so I told my friends, this is in the quote, "Oh, the guard. I have the guard around me. I am old Gregory Christmas still." And
Gregory Christmas.
and though I come out of the Pope's head, alley as a good Protestant, and I'm in my parish. So it's very funny because there's like this argument happening among the Protestant church of should we allow Christmas? And they're like, well, it is an invention of the Catholic Church. But
It's also very popular.
yeah, well, and also it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like Christmas is
You're not going to be able to come up with something more popular than Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. And then another, Thomas Nabes was known for saying, acting as again Father Christmas. Resign to thee. I am the king of good cheer and feasting. He's talking about Father Christmas. I am the king of good cheer and feasting. Though I come but once a year to reign over baked and boiled, roasted and plum porridge, will have been in despite of thy lordship. He was pretty much saying, hey, I'm here once a year. Celebrate, right?
So they're trying to like take Christmas from the Catholics.
Oh, well, because the Christmas was such a association with Catholicism because it was such a winter celebration, and Protestantism was like built around this thinking of getting away,
Being different than them,
and
differentiating themselves.
And Christmas isn't in the Bible,
right.
like. Sure, the story, the birth of Christ.
If the Catholics have got this thing that's like this guy comes and gives people presents during the middle of winter, then how are we going to counteract that?
Well, and
are we going to take it and make it our own?
And there was a point where, like, in fact, actually,
we're going to make Krampus and we're going to go beat the children.
In 1647, the Puritan Church took over the Anglican Church and completely made it illegal.
To have Christmas?
No Christmas.
Wow.
In England, there was no Christmas.
I can't imagine that was a very popular policy decision.
Oh, no, people hated it. But like,
of course.
They also abolished Easter, which is
wow.
super weird.
That's like prohibition.
It was in the ordinance for abolishing of festivals. The Anglican Church took a real Puritan turn and like became extremely oriented around like this pure form of religion. But like that doesn't actually exist.
Right.
A pure form of religion. Like, let's avoid all things pagan. Like, am I going to avoid walks around the park? And
no, you have to base everything upon something that exists already.
Yeah. And also, how do you avoid everything that's pagan?
Because like you have cultures worshiping the sun and stuff like that. And it's just like, well, you see the sun all the time. So you can't very well say we're going to just like disregard that entirely. Well, you either incorporate it or you ban it.
Yeah. And banning it creates a very bland religion, a religion that really has very little excitement,
like the Puritans. And
and what human experience is exalted, and you never hear a Puritan say, "What a piece of art, what a piece of writing." Like the problem with the Puritan world is it's so associated with being against everything. Catholicism in that ancient world, that medieval concept is like things have good in them. Let's adapt them and bring them in.
Right. The Puritans aren't inventing like a cell phone or like the internet.
and
or
it's not holy
like
if they do. Right? So they forbid people to celebrate Christmas. Well, that's the irony. In the forbidding of Christmas,
it became more popular.
Well, people who stood people who were called the royalists who wanted to bring back the royalty in the good old days would celebrate Christmas and have this Father Christmas spirit. And this Father Christmas was supposed to remind you of the good old days.
That's awesome.
It was supposed to be, hey, do you remember when the world was right? Yeah, it's defiance. And it's like, do you remember when the world was right and we had Father Christmas?
We had Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember a world that had Christmas in it before?
Do you remember when
Christmas
we used to
was banned?
celebrate? Before we were like oppressed by this like government who was like, everything's evil. And they're like, this is the world we want.
With Christmas.
Yeah, with Christmas.
We want a world that has Christmas.
We want a world with Christmas.
Yes, we sure do.
World with Christmas.
That kind of reminds me, like kind of an equal opposite sort of sense of the word is that the Krampus runs and stuff like that are really popular. Going back to Krampus for a second, is that they were kind of seen as like a slap in the face to the maybe like the Catholic religion or the Christianity that was taking over the region at the time is that they were like, we're going to lean really hard into these like Krampus runs because we don't want to seem like we don't want to bow down to the oppressors sort of thing. It is an act of defiance that we celebrate this sort of like pagan thing. If it is a pagan thing in general.
Yeah. If it is,
which is sort of, if it's not a pagan thing, it could definitely be like an anti-establishment thing.
Definitely a V for Vendetta kind of thing.
Yeah.
But here, and it acts the same in England at this time during the Restoration period. The idea is like Catholicism is very popish, it's very Catholic, and here these people are celebrating it and having this good King Father Christmas reign over it, right? And that's turning the world upside down. This was
They want to get in on this Christmas action.
Oh yeah, and it reminded them of the good old days, right?
Yeah.
The good old days where you had England did make Christmas legal again, but they turned it into a festival like Lent where you fasted.
So kind of like a boring thing.
Yeah, hey, you have to fast and not have fun. It was actually Charles Dickens that really brought the spirit of Christmas back to the English world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But that wasn't until like when 1800s maybe.
I think 1800s.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the weird thing is like Christmas has been celebrated.
It seems like almost forever, like in the current mindset.
But the Christmas Carol was written in 1843.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's when he really like said. That's where Father Christmas.
It solidified the Christmas in the Christmas Carol. Yeah,
which is good. I think that was one of the most wholesome.
Santa wasn't in it, but it sort of canonized Christmas as like a mainstream.
Brought it back into the English custom, which thank God for it, right? Like because Christmas is literally
we love Christmas.
We love Christmas.
Yeah. If you hate Christmas, tell us in the comments below.
Yeah,
we'll tell you why you're wrong.
Give us a good reason, and we'll tell you why you're wrong.
You can come over for Christmas, and we'll
show you a good party.
We'll give you the Legends and Libations hospitality.
Legends and you will be poured many drinks. But if I recall, as much as that's like the English folklore, before it gets, I mean, there's a lot that comes into the American folklore. But before, you had something from Iceland, if I'm correct.
Oh yes, I do have something for Iceland. Good segue there, Jesse, is to get us all the way from Britain, which is an island, to Iceland, which is also an island. And Christmas is not so merry of a time in Iceland.
Is anything merry in Iceland?
The landscape is.
Dude, is the landscape actually merry? I mean, I've seen some pretty pictures of it, but it's like during the best time of year when their sun is actually up.
Good point. I'll get into that in a second. And I think that there's like a nationwide like different disinformation campaign to like keep people from wanting to move to Iceland because they love it so much that they want to like keep out foreigners. So they like all play up this whole idea that you don't want to move here to keep it for themselves. Like keep it exclusive.
Isn't it very expensive to go to Iceland?
Probably just because it's an island, but don't count me on that.
And it's not like an island like Hawaii where things are growing on it. It's like an island.
I want to say that Hawaii is more expensive than Iceland, but I'm not sure. Iceland is the only country that punished any bankers for the 2008 financial crisis. So I have a big respect for Iceland. And also one of my favorite bands comes from Iceland. It's called Sigur Rós. You've probably heard of them, but they sing in like a made up language and Icelandic. And
a made up language in Icelandic.
And Icelandic. They sing in both of them. And I've seen them in concert in Birmingham, and it was crazy.
Were they overdressed for the cold?
That's a good point. I'm not necessarily sure if they were overdressed or not.
Because Birmingham is not that cold.
No, you're right. But the only words that they said in English the whole night were "thank you" and "good night." And
Nice.
And that was it.
Nice. So Iceland, definitely because of how removed it is, hit the scene kind of late for Christmas traditions, didn't it?
Yeah, they didn't have people moving there until like way past the time that they were living in. Like,
I don't even know why people moved there in the first place, but
probably some kind of like propaganda campaign. But Iceland's actually like pretty nice, like weather-wise, because the Atlantic current keeps Iceland at like a more moderate climate, temperate climate than Greenland, who's kind of like out of the way. So they're kind of like mismatched in their naming system. But Iceland's always been one of those places
because it was like tricky.
Yeah, see, exactly. They're always trying to trick people to not move in there. I think it is a conspiracy.
It's been forever.
And one of the so they don't have Krampus and they don't have Saint Nicholas or Father Christmas or any of these other various winter solstice folklore legends that we have mentioned on the podcast so far.
Nothing in mainland Europe.
No, nothing that you would have ever heard of before. They have Gryla. Gryla.
What is
Gryla? Gryla is a troll.
Freaking trolls.
Or a giantess or an ogre or a witch.
Before you go any further, have you seen Troll Hunters?
Yes, the first one was really good.
The Norwegian,
all in Norwegian, and you don't get to see it until like the very end or whatever. Yeah,
they stopped the trolls with Christian music and stuff.
I thought that was good. I think
such a fun film. That was a weird one.
It was a weird one, especially when you like It was one of those kind of like found footage things too. Like, wasn't it like the Blair Witch? Like it was
exactly like that.
Yeah.
And it was
in a different language too.
Yeah, and it was super fun. If you guys haven't seen Troll Hunters, go watch it. It's worth the watch.
Yes.
Honestly,
I think it was a unique movie. And
truly unique.
yeah,
I don't know much about trolls, but that teaches you the mythology of trolls. Like
it gets you to the actual tradition of trolls and not like a Disney-fied troll thing,
and not like
or
the
a troll with the
colored-
hair. Yeah, the troll with the hair. Yes,
the freaking colored ones. Like,
yes.
trolls are much crazier in like mythos.
Oh,
Yeah,
most definitely. That wouldn't even be my main thought of trolls if it didn't exist. Like I don't even think about that when it comes to trolls. Really, I didn't have troll dolls.
I hope not.
No.
By Jove, that would be a terrible thing to have in your mind. The first thing for trolls.
Yeah, exactly. Like you like to think of like mountain trolls or like cave trolls, like in Lord of the Rings, they had the cave troll.
Super thinking like, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings
yes.
there.
That's the kind of trolls you need to have in mind when you're thinking about Grilla, because she is a cannibalistic troll. And
When you say cannibalistic, does she eat humans or other trolls?
that's what I was going to say. I'm not sure if it's cannibalistic if she's eating humans because they're different species, because she's definitely eating humans.
Yeah. So is this built around the Norse mythology, or I have no idea.
I'm not sure, but the first mentions come from a poem in the 13th century that mentioned Grilla, and she really wasn't associated with Christmas until the 19th century.
That's quite late.
Yeah, it's like a long time. Before she was associated with Christmas, she would just like come to town as like a troll or an ogre or whatever, and then like
Rude.
knock on people's doors and ask them for their misbehaved children, if she could just like have them.
Can I have your
Yeah,
misbehaved
she's like,
children?
can I have your misbehaved children? Like, if you don't want them, I'll be glad to like just take them off your hands.
She would just. Could you imagine as a parent being like, "Yeah, my child's been pretty bad."
Let's see.
Hey, Grilla,
I don't know.
Grilla, take them.
She's saying she'll take them.
And
might
I'm
do
kind of
that.
annoyed with it. I guess if you were like up to here with your children,
And you've had like 18 of them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because
like-
you're like being fertile myrtles out in the
myrtles
country,
on
and you're just like
Iceland.
popping them out every 9 months as fast as you can. Like there's a
give it 10
prize
months
for
at
it.
least, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you have 18
There's
children,
at least a couple of them that you would want to like have a do-over on, or get a rebate or like a refund.
yeah, like Henry, you weren't so good.
No, I'm sorry, Henry.
Yeah, I'm gonna hand you over the Grilla.
Yes.
Grilla.
I don't have your receipt, so I can't take you back to where you came from. But
Well, Grilla
Grilla's
says that you're-
here.
thank
She's
you.
knocking at the door right now.
Would she return it? Would she like give anything in return from them? or-
I don't know, but she's going to cook them and eat them in a stew and feed them to her family.
So you just have to be like freaking pissed at your children. Like, I hate you.
Or uninformed, but it's like very, very uninformed.
Yeah, like
Because you're going to give them to cannibalistic trolls. But Grilla wasn't the only one. She actually had like an extended family that rained terror upon the whole island nation of Iceland. It wasn't just her. It was
how big is Iceland?
Iceland, I want to say, just like off the top of my head, is probably the size of probably like Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi put together.
I could drive that.
Yeah, you could drive that. You could also terrorize that if you were like a troll.
Yeah, I don't know how big trolls are, but I could terrorize it if I just as a
Probably so. Like, don't quote me on the actual size of Iceland. Okay, so Grilla is not just her and her like giant troll form, but she also had 13 children.
Oh, freaking A.
At least 13 children. She might have had up to like 72 children. Who knows?
It's a lot different.
It is a lot different. I guess when you can just like
Just break apart the family tree, it gets a little wild. How
yeah,
many
like
people did
depending on which account that we're going by, who knows? But
Who knows who she had?
there's 13 of them that go by names and their deeds that we'll cover in a second. And but she also had her husband, which was her third husband.
Wow.
Her third husband's name was Lapalui.
Lapalui.
I might be mispronouncing his name, but we're not even going to try to pronounce.
This is Legends and Libations, not corrections and
Corrections and concoctions. No, we're not even going to even try for that sort of stuff. But Lapalui did not get in on the
I was going to say
fun.
corrections and cocktails.
Cocktails.
I lost it.
That's good.
The alcohol hit me.
Her husband wasn't super into like the whole like eating children thing. He just kind of like stayed in the cave all the time. He was lazy and he was just like freeloading a lot of the time.
I feel like I know people like that. I'm very disappointed.
But since he was her third husband, it might have just been because he was like trying to get out of the way and like didn't want to fall victim to being eaten.
Would
like
she eat her husband?
I think that
I
think that she ate her other husbands is what happened to them.
Well, sucks to suck. Don't marry wrong. You could get eaten.
Exactly. Even if you stick with it, which Lapalui is sticking with it. But he's having a good time though, because she's bringing home plenty of misbehaved children to make into stew. And apparently like the misbehaved children taste better than like the well-behaved children for some reason.
Do you think they have particular spices they mix with
Maybe
misbehaved children?
I don't know. Like what kind of spices would go well with like if you were cooking children in a stew?
Well, I think you need ginger.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Kind of like aids the stomach and the digestion.
Yeah. I could imagine like a curry.
Yeah. So her husband doesn't leave the cave. So he's not very important in like the day-to-day operations of
Like he's getting the
Grilla.
food.
No,
He's getting the curry covered children.
he is getting the curry covered tenderized meat children that are made for the stew that have been like slow cooking over the fire in a cauldron, and she's just like whipping it up for days at a time.
Stewed
Who
misbehaved
knows
children.
how many months that misbehaved children will last in a stew? It's like those old stews that they had in those like English inns, like taverns and stuff that would last for like, it's called the perpetual stew, where they would just never take it off the burner at all. And they just like keep dumping in ingredients on it. It's just like, well, our claim to fame is our stew's been going since like the 600s. And they're like, wow, that's really got some flavor in that stew. You know what I mean? Like a good cast iron skillet's got that flavor built into the edges of it.
Oh yeah. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, exactly. We got the worst kids in here, like Jimmy and Timmy. They killed their parents and they made this stew taste so good.
the worse the kid, the spicier it is.
Yes. We're holding out for the familia side. So apparently, like the story of Grilla coming to like take your children away was so terrifying that the Icelandic government had banned it in 1746. You couldn't use the story. You couldn't use it as an intimidation. Was the wording of the thing.
It's so interesting how much intimidation comes into the Christmas story or into like these stories.
Yes.
Intimidation is always like, you are gonna, St. Nicholas won't beat you up, but
here comes Krampus.
Here comes
exactly.
Krampus. Here comes Rupert, Barman Rupert.
Never heard of him, but you better watch out.
You better watch out. You better watch
That's
out.
where that part
you
of
better watch out. You better watch out.
Here comes Rupert,
the
on
farmer
the corner. Oh man. But I think that for some reason they just had like a super puritanical government at that time, and they were like, or Grilla was just too scary, and you just couldn't talk about her to keep your kids to behave. I don't know. That was strange. A lot of things.
They lost that Viking spirit, maybe.
So the thing that I want to talk about with Grilla, besides like her eating kids and stuff like that, like that's all very exciting.
like that's a very important thing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. If you want your kids to stay alive, or if you're a child and you don't want to become part of a stew, you should avoid Grilla, but you should also avoid her 13 children, because that's where the real mischief happened.
Oh, what are 13 children? Like,
well,
13 children.
13 children is a lot.
I mean, it's hard to say whenever I don't know how many drinks in. Yeah.
I have one child and he's a handful and he can't even crawl yet. So I can't even imagine these 13 like adult giant ogre children that like live in your cave with you. Because like a cave can't have much ventilation or like sound treatment or anything. So it's got to like smell bad and be like super noisy in there. So that's probably why you give them all these tasks to like go out to the villages and rain terror upon these people. Okay, so do you want to hear about the 13 children?
I've never said anything 100% until now. 100%.
Well, it looks like your drink is empty, Jesse. So I feel like you need to like fix your drink a little bit. Do we have an Icelandic drink possibly?
Oh, that's weird. I do. It's actually Einstock Winter Ale, and I literally only could find one.
That's the only one available.
That was literally, and it has like a maybe a Viking or maybe a dwarf.
I love
with
it.
a literally a hat on it. It looks like a.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
a Viking with a Santa hat.
Do you know how I tried looking for this all day, could not find it. So I thought I'd split it with us.
That's the most Christmas metal thing I've ever seen.
I know, that's what I was thinking. And when this runs out, we have more Coke and rum.
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke.
Which might tell you where we're headed next. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. So Grilla has 13 kids at least, but these 13 have names and they have specific deeds that they carry out during the Christmas season. So
They have
yes,
particular deeds. That
yes.
they carry out?
So each one has a different day that they like to cause havoc on, and they start
The
on the
havoc causing children.
yes, the havoc causing children. The Yule lads are like a gang.
They're called the Yule lads. This is like the Sleepy Hollow.
Yes, just like the Sleepy Hollow Boys. Yes, good connection.
the Yule lads.
Yes, the Yule lads are probably more intimidating and cause more trouble than the Sleepy Hollow Boys. I'll tell you about that though. It starts on December the 12th, where you have the first Yule lad. His name is. I'm going to give you like the English names for him,
please,
because I can't do
my
the
Icelandic is
my Icelandic. It's just like and yeah,
hoo-ah,
yeah.
hoo-ha-ha.
Okay, so this guy's name is Sheepcoat Claude, and he likes to sneak into the barns and suckle the milk from your sheep.
How very rude. If I was making cheese from those goats, that'd be
Exactly. But he loves that. That's like Sheepcoat Claude's deal is like he's going to like sneak into your
He's gonna
barns.
suckle your sheep.
Yeah, he's going to suckle them dry pretty much.
Steals your cheese.
Yes, it sucks to lose your milk to Sheepcoat Claude. So you got to like lock your barn doors.
Sheep, what is it?
Look, it's like Sheepcoat Claude. These are the English versions of them.
Okay, I'm taking it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do a drink for Sheepcoat Claude. That's
How
the
do you
first
like
of the
that
Yule
beer?
lads. Wow, that's way different. It's different than the Abbey one that we just had for sure.
Yeah. It's more beer like.
Much more beer like. The other one was 10%. This one's like 8%, right?
Let me see. This is Einstock. It says, brave the elements of shorter days and dark, cold nights. Bundle up in front of a roaring fire, drinking our limited edition winter ale.
And watch out for Sheepcoat.
It's brewed with spruce tips
Oh, spruce.
and smoked barley, and
Wow, decadent.
and providing a hearty body. Wait, I don't know if that's a sentence. It is the perfect brew to complement your sagas of conquest and survival. This is harder to read when I'm like this.
That sounds like an AI sentence.
Yeah, I know. They should. It's 8.0. 8.0.
Hey, that's what I said.
Yeah, good job.
I think.
Oh,
All right.
Shoot, there it is.
All right. Sheepcoat Claude
Okay.
approves of this beer because it's in his milk and he likes that. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
number 2 one on the December 13th, the second Yule lad to come and terrorize local villages is the Gully Gawk. And he likes to like hide out in like the gullies or like the ditches around your farm. And he also comes out and he takes the milk from cows and not sheep.
Damn it.
So he's going to like go and suckle your cows. So where they got the udders and they're just like with the
They're
udders.
just stealing all of the milk.
So Gully Gawk's out there and he's just like,
They
yes.
did this is why the eggnog was appropriate.
right.
Frothiness.
It was the milk-based beverage.
milk-based beverage.
Yes,
for
Gully
the
Gawk.
Yule lads.
The Yule lads
The
with
first two Yule lads.
Coat Claude and Gully Gawk are taking your sheep's milk and your cow's milk.
Damn
and yes, they are gung ho about some milk.
They want that protein.
It gets even weirder than this, dude.
Okay,
yes.
ready,
Okay.
ready.
So on December the 14th, you have Stubby. Is his American name. And he's the shortest of the lads, and he only goes and takes your leftover food from the frying pans. So anything that you have left over in like your like skillet or whatever, like a bacon grease, things like that. He's going to be going there and like
licking it up.
Licking it up pretty much.
You will have no leftovers.
No leftovers
Because
at all.
leftover Chinese is the best kind of Chinese, and he would eat it up.
Well, if you have no leftovers, then the best leftovers are any leftovers.
Yeah.
And as you'll see, as this like progresses, is that we're not going to have many leftovers.
Okay, because we have no milk and we have no leftovers.
We have no milk and we have no. It's just leftovers in frying pans, Jesse.
leftovers.
We're gonna get into the weeds with your culinary kitchen utensils in a second.
Okay.
As you see on December the 15th, we have spoon liquor. And spoon liquor, he comes and licks your spoons. But
shoot dang.
yes,
Shoot dang. He licks my spoon.
I actually had this thought yesterday, and when I was trying to fall asleep, I had this thought, and I was like, spoon licker, how is he that bad if he's just like licking your leftover spoons? But it's that he might be licking your clean spoons.
Oh, damn it.
You know what I mean? He's going to that like utensil drawer and he's just like pulling out those utensils. He's like, this one's mine. This one's mine too. Lick things to claim them as your own, like that Cards Against Humanity card. I'm claiming all the utensils.
All the utensils are mine.
And it says that he's like malnourished or whatever. So
guy.
he's not getting much nutrients from these spoons that don't have anything in them.
He probably has his iron up though.
Yes. Spoon liquor is indeed not anemic. So that's good. On December 16th, we have pot liquor. And then pot liquor will take
That's like an insult. When somebody says you're a pot liquor.
You're a pot liquor, yes.
Yeah.
But they're like, this is a badge of pride. He's going to come and take your pots and he's going to lick the leftovers off of them that you don't have.
Oh my God. No
If you left anything on your pots, then like you better watch out on the 16th.
Watch out. You better watch out.
Yeah. You better not put your dirty dishes in the sink because the
somebody's
Yule
gonna lick them
boys
up.
are going to come and lick your whole sink
Your
dry.
lads are going to come lick
Yeah,
them
exactly. It's going to be like piranhas on like a corpse. And there's going to be like, oh, nothing left. There we go. Pot liquor. He's striking in the middle of the night and you just don't see him coming because no one's guarding the dirty dishes.
No one.
No one is. So on the 17th, if pot liquor didn't get it, then bowl liquor is going to get it because bowl liquor comes on the 17th.
Freaking bowl liquor.
Apparently it was like a thing for if you had soup in your bed afterwards and you like finished with your soup, you would put your dirty dishes kind of like under your bed so you didn't step on it when you got out of your bed in the next morning.
Yeah.
And so bowl liquor would come and he would hide under your bed and wait for you to put your soup bowl there and he'd just like snatch your bowl and just like lick it all dry.
So far, these guys do seem relatively innocent.
They do seem like pretty benign and like they're not causing like that much problems.
Like they're kind of cleaning up my mess.
A little bit.
Bowl liquor.
A little bit. Unless we needed the leftovers or we needed the milk. Which we might have
The
needed.
milk guys are they're pissing me off.
We might have needed the milk. Okay,
Yeah.
so on December the 18th, you've got Door Slammer. And
He
slams the doors.
boom.
Yeah. Mhm.
Slams the door.
Especially when you're sleeping or at night. He just like comes along and he's just like, boom. Just like he said. He's slamming the doors.
I
That's
feel
his,
like I've met him.
yeah. His claim to fame is pretty simple.
Yeah, he slams the door.
Yeah, it doesn't get that granular with like how he slams the doors or who he slams the doors for. It's
He
across
just
the board.
slams
It's
them.
just like boom. But that gives room for his next brother, which is on the 19th of December, and this is called the Skyr Gobbler.
Okay, I don't know what that one was.
Okay, so Skyr, SKYR, is Icelandic yogurt. And Icelandic
He's a
yogurt,
yogurt
I think-
gobbler?
yeah, he's the yogurt gobbler. So Skyr, I think, is yogurt made from like sheep or something like that. And I think you can get it at Target. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it comes in like a fancy glass bottle or something like that. It would be.
They're
bought
like,
at
do you want
Target.
this primitive food?
Yes. Uh-huh.
It's in a glass bottle.
He's ravenous for the Skyr, and
loves
he
Skyr.
will just like be waiting for some Skyr to be served, and he's gonna like pinch it from your dish as soon as.
Have you
it
ever
is.
noticed that yogurt-based things are a little bit worse than regular things? Like you can have ice cream or you can have yogurt.
Do you mean
Frozen yogurt?
like a birthday party, like a regular birthday
just
party, or
mean
like a
everything.
yogurt-based birthday party?
A yogurt.
You said anything, and that was like the first thing that came to my mind.
No, I
Like
just meant
regular Christmas or like yogurt-based Christmas.
No, I just.
It's like we work for for YoPlay, and we got all this yogurt for free, so we have to have a yogurt-based holiday season now. You mean just like
I just meant like you could get
yogurt-based condiments, or
get,
something like that, like ketchup or yogurt-based.
You could get ice cream, or you could get frozen yogurt, and ice cream is always better.
Way better.
In fact,
exactly.
What was it? What was that show called? The Good Place. All of the ice cream places were replaced with frozen yogurt because it was like a level of hell.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
It's just so good. And then like when everyone's like, "Oh, you could have sour cream or you could have yogurt," you're like, "I want sour cream because I'm a normal human."
I've tried the yogurt before. It's like, not as good.
It's not as good.
No,
it's healthy, but like, who cares?
Throw back to the days where I was trying to like air fry some sweet potato fries and make some like yogurt-based mayonnaise type thing.
Aioli.
Yeah, aioli. Yeah. Hey, but you can make some good aioli if you put the
mayo in it,
the garlic in the oven, and then you like bake the garlic and then you like squeeze it out and it makes a really good aioli.
And mayo.
Yeah, and mayo. Not yogurt. You're right.
Okay, who's the next one?
What company is even selling unflavored Greek yogurt? Like,
they're definitely
the same company.
They definitely also worship shit. I can't say Krampus.
Krampus.
There it is.
I didn't know what you're about to say.
I didn't know what I was about to say either.
All right. Okay. So which we had the yogurt stealer, right? Okay. That was on the 19th of December. Okay. We're getting closer to Christmas.
Okay.
All right. So on the 20th of December, we have Sausage Swiper.
I would be pissed about him.
You can pretty much guess what he's going to do.
He's going to eat your sausage.
He's going to eat your sausage. If you have any sausage, by this point, it's pretty much all you've got to eat is maybe sausage.
He's going to like just eat all of your breakfast food. I'm pissed about him.
Yeah, there's no breakfast in Iceland after these guys. Your milk is gone. Your sausage is gone. Your yogurt's gone.
Like, what do you have?
You even have chickens? Can they even survive in this environment?
Yeah, I'm not positive.
Probably not, because chickens probably don't have much like insulation since they're like feathery.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I've never asked a chicken how it feels.
To ask Mel Gibson because he voiced the chickens in Chicken Run.
Did he?
So on the 10th of the 10th of the Yule Lads happens on the 21st of December.
Okay, so we're getting pretty close to Christmas.
We're getting close to Christmas, so that means that the Yule Lads' actions are getting more drastic a little bit. They're kind of being like all over the board now, like food-based mostly.
Yeah.
But now, on the 21st, we have the Window Peeper. And he's like the peeping Tom.
Oh, he just sneaks in and looks at through your window.
Like sneaks in, he's just like looking at you. So you're just like, are getting dressed or something, and you just like look over, and like he's just like,
I'm looking.
And he's just like in the window, just like staring at you with like blank stare.
I don't know if I feel weird about that or if I'm like, how did you get to the second floor, bud?
Yeah. Like, why are you there at this time of day?
Yeah.
Where's your adult supervision? But it doesn't matter what he sees because he's just there to freak you out or to rat on you to his mom, Grilla, about how you might be misbehaving and how she can kidnap your children.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. He's an informant pretty much. He's a rat. Yeah. We're going to take him. We're going to get rid of him.
Yeah, we don't like him.
Yeah. So once he returns, then on the 22nd of December, we have the door sniffer. And
what? Okay. I just don't know how that's a bad thing. He's sniffing your door. He's a little weird. He's like the guy you avoided at school.
Yeah, it's a bit weird is that we have this large nosed dude and he's like trying to find your baked goods. So that's why he's sniffing your doors, because he wants your like cakes and like crumpets and cream pies and whatever you've got.
Cakes.
Yes, your scones and your muffins and your bear claws. And I can probably think of some more
cheesecake.
Yes. Some more baked goods that he wants because he's sitting there sniffing your doors for the best. You got this random bloke out there just like, yeah.
I want your bear claw.
That sounds great. I'm going to send all my family upon this bakery. Too bad you've only got one employee working the register. And it's square. And it's probably going down for the next 15 minutes. Too bad I'm trying to use my credit card. I digress from that. So we got window sniffer. My bad. That was door sniffer.
Door sniffer.
Okay. On the 23rd of December, we've got meat hook, which
Eat your meat.
It's pretty much just what you expect. He would lower down a hook from the chimney and
From the chimney.
Yeah, try to like, or the windows, and try to like grab your meat that you had like hanging up, because this is the time where you like had meat hanging up to dry
out.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm gonna snatch that meat and I'm gonna like make off with it. He was like fishing, but like fishing above ground. He's fishing for your meat, pretty much. You had meat hook. No one liked meat hook because like the meat's like the main course of the meal, pretty much. So we don't like meat hook.
We want that protein push, and like if you take that away from us, what are we?
Well, then we got the 24th, which is Christmas Eve, and finally we have one of the silliest ones, if these were not silly enough already, and it's Candle Stealer. And candles,
he steals your candles.
Yeah, he steals your candles.
Steals your lights.
Do you know what he does with them? He eats them.
Why?
Because candles were made of fat. They were made of fat called tallow back in the day.
Okay, I get that.
And from Wales, I know they were made from. And
Iceland problems.
Yes.
Right? Candles
and
made
the
of
candle
fat.
stealer would eat the candles. So not only did your family go hungry because of all of his siblings, but your family also had no light because the candle stealer is out here to eat your candles.
There's someone peeping through the window, someone eating your milk and your
meat,
your yogurt, and your
everything.
Meat,
yes,
and licking your bowls and cleaning your spoons with
and licking your new spoons before you even use them, which should be an affront to like common decency.
Yeah, and then they're like, also you have no light.
Yes,
these guys are.
These are the Yule lads.
These are jackasses.
Yes, they are.
But the Yule lads do remind me of the Sleepy Hollow Boys.
You know who else they remind me of?
What?
The Seven Dwarves. They're like the dwarves that are like from hell.
Yeah.
The anti-dwarves. The chaos dwarves.
They're not just sleepy and...
they're not sleepy. They're meat hooky and candle eating and door sniffing and just like, you know what I mean?
My door.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
So they kind of like whitewashed these guys in like the modern age, the Yule lads. Like this was like their traditional sort of way that they behaved.
Are these how we got the elves of Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus?
I don't know, and I'm not sure, but that tells me that there is this in Iceland nowadays. You hear this study that like over 50% of Icelandic people believe in elves.
I have heard that. I've heard
the Hinder folk or something like that.
Yeah.
And that can be interpreted as, okay, well, yeah, they're very in tune with like the supernatural or whatever. Or the other like more, I don't guess like negative side of it is that they are doing this as like a tourist trap sort of thing. And they're like playing up their like belief in the supernatural to try to lure unwitting Americans and people to go spend money in their country.
Yeah.
Which may be a thing. But what I was going to say is you can go to Iceland in the capital of like Reykjavik right now. And I can't remember how much it costs, but you can do a elf walk or like an elf tour. And they will take you to these places supposedly where the elves have their like high council is in this like cliffside area. And like they have like the hall where they like supposedly meet and like the capital where the elves are like most prominently featured.
I would do that.
I would like to do that too. I put it on my bucket list.
I would literally pay $150 bucks for
I think it would be really fun to do the elf walk in Iceland.
I don't know why 150, but that's like...
I feel like Iceland's like halfway trying to like not have people.
And then the other half of them is like, do you want to be a tourist?
Like you guys might be jaded with how awesome your landscape is, but we want to come see it and like be awed by it ourselves.
Yeah,
like it seems really cool.
Yeah, geez. It's like such a strong tradition.
Mm-hmm. They're used to it because they've been there for so long that they're just like, oh man, everywhere is like this. And like,
we don't hear of elves in here.
For the generations we've had these mountains and these volcanoes and like whatever. Like that's special.
Well, lucky you.
Yeah,
lucky we want to see it.
Yeah. So the thing that I have not mentioned is the last part of the Icelandic folklore, and that is the Yule cat.
The Yule cat?
Yeah, so like big cats are not normal.
I only knew about the Yule log.
Yes, you may have heard of the Yule log, and that's rather boring in comparison to the Yule cat or the Yule lads.
But the Yule lads were very exciting.
They were. The Yule cat is a further member of Grila's family, and she is the family pet. And like her other offspring and siblings that she exerts terror upon the population of Iceland, and that the Yule Cat has its own specific way that it terrorizes its victims. And that is so the Yule Cat's like a big black cat, like a panther, but on steroids, and like
I hate that.
is eating like a Super Mario Brothers mushroom, so it has grown to like
So it's like
astronomical
3 times bigger
proportions.
than-
Yes. So it is a cat that can like eat an entire person, pretty much.
That sounds sucks.
Yes. So I mean, what else do you expect to be like the pet of giants or ogres or whatever? It's going to be a giant.
So
cat.
he's like a tiger-sized black cat.
Yes. And most of these creatures that we've talked about, you don't have to worry about them unless you're a child or whatever.
It's
but
naughty.
the Yule Cat comes for adults as well
Oh,
as
shoot.
children. So it only differentiates by one metric, and that is if you have not received a new pair of clothes before Christmas, then you might be a victim of the Yule Cat. So you have to get new clothes
goodness.
before Christmas, or it's going to get you, pretty much.
What does the Yule Cat do?
It eats you.
Everything eats you.
Yeah, everything eats you. Like there's no spoiler for that, or like burying the lead. There's no mystery behind it.
I like the
You're
Yule
gonna get
Lads
eaten.
more. They just eat your sausage.
Oh, I didn't tell you what the Yule Lads do like in modern times.
They do things in modern times.
Oh yeah,
They don't eat your sausage
in
and
modern
peek through your
times
windows?
it's much more like Hallmark versioned. In modern times, the children in Iceland will leave out their shoes by their windowsills, and the Yule Lads will, if they've misbehaved, if they have behaved, they will leave you a gift, a small present or whatever.
That's
but if
very
you've
nice.
misbehaved, then they will leave you a potato, and the potato is either raw or rotten, depending on how bad you've been.
Raw would be better because you can grow that. Shit.
Right. You can totally grow it if it's raw.
Yeah.
But like this is just like how they're whitewashing
Yeah,
Icelandic folklore
less
to make
intense.
it. Yeah. There's a movement nowadays to like bring it back to like the way that it was before.
Where you get your sausage eaten.
Yeah, your sausage eaten, your milk suckled, and your candles stolen, and you can't light up the cottage for your family during the entire winter. Yes, there's a movement to bring that back.
I'm glad.
But nowadays it's just like the shoes and potatoes or whatever. Like, yeah.
I feel like the coal that we get in the modern day really isn't a really like I don't even understand it in modern day. Like, you want me to go grill? Is that what you're asking me?
I don't know. Like we can make a few things on the grill.
I can make a diamond if I squeeze it enough with my muscles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I'm strong enough for that.
It's probably just like borrowing from the inspiration from these different legends that like give you something that's like not a real present or whatever.
Yeah. I just feel like I need it to be a little bit more intense.
And none of them did they actually give you a present that you could use. Like you're trying to think of like coal as something that you could cook with, but like Krampus is getting the birch rods and he's like beating you with it.
He's like, I won't
He's not
beat
giving you
up.
anything to like take home or like a lesson or anything. I'm just gonna beat you and
Where
like
did
turn
the
your
coal
hall
come from?
right, turn your wait.
Your body.
What am I trying to say?
Your flesh.
Rawhide.
Rawhide. There it is.
Rawhide. Turn your hide raw. That's what I'm trying to say. He's trying to turn your hide raw with that birch rod. He's not giving you like the lessons are. It's too late to learn the lessons pretty much at this point.
You lose.
Yes.
You lose.
He's emphasizing the
you
lessons
lost.
at this
Yeah,
point.
Yeah.
You'll be lucky if you don't get put in that leather sack and taken to hell on his back because
You're lucky you didn't.
Right, because that's like Hermione's
much
bag in Deathly Hallows, how you can like is bigger on the inside, or like the TARDIS or whatever.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and if you go in Krampus's sack, it's just like tons of other kids that are really bad too. Like
The bad boys.
the whole, it's like the bus. It's like
Everyone's
the bus, the
wearing
back
leather in there.
kids, hard kids at the back or whatever, and it's just like a bus, just like full of kids all the way, all the way to
All
the
the
front.
kids that sat in the back.
You got to go pick your seat on the bus of the bad kids once you get thrown into the Krampus sack.
Jeez.
But the bus is going to hell.
Yeah, the whole bus is going to hell.
Exactly. Hard kids at the back
Definitely don't want to be in that
on the
situation.
Krampus bus.
Krampus bus.
It's powered by coal.
Or the Yuletide lads. Yule lads.
Yeah, they're pulling it. You never know what's up.
So
Yule Cat, he's there too.
yeah, he's ready to eat you like
Yeah.
a mouse that's caught in a trap.
One of the things that the Yule Cat was like possibly invented for was the textile manufacturers, because they were like, if you didn't give your kids some new clothes by Christmas, then he's going to get dragged off to hell by the Yule Cat. So you better finish your textile assignments. Yeah, exactly.
So
capitalism strikes in Iceland folklore.
Yeah, capitalism.
Just like Coca-Cola and America's Santa Claus.
Let's talk about America a little bit. So America, we started off as a very Protestant country. So we actually didn't celebrate Christmas at first. Did you know that?
No.
Alabama was the first state to celebrate Christmas.
Nuh-uh. Really?
True story. Isn't that weird?
Not like we're from Alabama or anything.
Not that we're from Alabama or we're living here or anything,
That's
but
funny. I did not know that Alabama was the first state to celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, badass, right?
Wow. That's probably the best thing I've ever heard about our state.
Thank God, right?
Thank God for Alabama.
Thank God for Alabama. We celebrated Christmas first. So Christmas actually came from the Dutch, through the Dutch. Do you remember how Sleepy Hollow was all about the Dutch giving us that legend?
Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah. The same thing happened with Christmas. Originally, Santa Claus was called
Sinterklaas.
Yeah, Sinterklaas. And the Dutch were, even though they became Protestant, were not willing to drop their tradition of celebrating St. Nicholas.
How could you?
Yeah, because he's so badass.
Right.
The English did, but like, who cares about the English?
That's like asking a company to drop its most popular product.
Yeah, exactly. And so the Dutch brought their tradition right to the New World with them. And of course, New York was called New Amsterdam, so it was Dutch, right, originally. Sinterklaas, or the original Santa Claus in America, he does ride a horse, and he's accompanied by a helper called Black Pete.
Black Pete.
Black Pete.
Wow.
Black Pete.
That's the most American thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, not to be confused with the racist thing that could be associated with that. A lot of people associate that with he was the one who climbed down the chimney, and so he was covered with soot.
Oh, covered in soot, so that's why he's Black Pete.
Yeah, not some kind of like,
right.
Yeah.
We're not sending an African American down the chimney.
Yeah, exactly. At least allegedly.
Not against his will, anyway.
Yeah.
He could choose to go down the chimney.
This is the character who did evolve into Santa Claus.
Okay.
Which is like a little bit of a mix of St. Nicholas, but also with some like really interesting folklore that happened with that.
He couldn't fit down the chimney because he was fat.
Yeah. Okay, so I do have to tell you something.
Oh, what's that?
I read or I heard something that came from Mexico that was like, I forget the guy's name, but Santa Claus, this is not connected to the Dutch. Santa Claus is Nicholas Flamel.
What?
Yeah, exactly. From Harry Potter. He lives forever because he has the Sorcerer's Stone.
Uh-huh.
He can go down chimneys with the flu
projection powder.
Yeah, with the powder.
Which becomes the flu powder.
Yeah, flu powder, right. He uses time turner to appear everywhere at night.
Wow.
And there's so many connections I read from that I was just like, holy smokes!
Wow, we're
Saint
tying
Nicholas
this in.
Is Nicholas Flamel.
Oh wow! I can't
Even
believe
with that weird beard,
he even has a cover story for the rest of all time.
Forever.
Yes.
Yeah,
wow.
So
he's orchestrated the ultimate alibi.
Yeah, he's like, and I bring you gifts every night.
Are you gonna really get rid of me at this point?
Yeah. Do you want to?
No.
Do you want to? No, we love you.
Yes, I don't keep any of this for myself.
But we won't go into too much into that. I just thought it was a cool theory. Holy smokes!
I love it.
Yeah. But then, so Holland brings us Sinterklaas or Santa Claus. And in the 18th century, December 1773 and 74, New York newspaper talks about the Dutch families who have gathered for the anniversary of the death of St. Nicholas.
1700s?
Yeah, so 1700s, it's coming into America, right?
Okay.
Again, not on the level of Alabama, who's ready to legalize it. The Dutch St. Nicholas, he has a very similar background as the Santa. He has a stocking and a cloak, and he puts stuff in it and all the presents and stuff. In fact, Washington Irvington.
Yeah,
you remember him right back from
Irvington, Washington.
Yeah, right from Sleepy Hollow.
Hollow.
He's the one who's writing this legend. But this Santa Claus that he describes was a rascal with a blue 3-cornered hat.
Well, I mean, think about Washington Irving. Anybody that he would describe would be a rascal because
That's
the
how he
slightest nerd was like way too hardcore for him.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, they're doing like algebra. Oh, they must be the Crips and the Jets. Over there.
They're nerd. Of course, he made it with a 3-pronged hat, which I don't know if that's piratey or jestery. I'm not really sure.
Flattery or mimicry.
Yeah. Or he would have yellow stockings or a red waistcoat. Anyway, or a huge pair of Flemish pants. Anyways.
What's a Flemish pant?
That's a good question. If you guys know what Flemish pants are, tell us. We don't care.
Elastic pants with like a fixed waistband or something like that. I like
Pajama
pants.
If
Way they're not pajama pants.
If our main character from Sleepy Hollow is anything of Flemish, then they have to be very elastic because he eats so much food. Mm-hmm. So much food. Anyways, so after this, Coca-Cola does take over. In the 1931, they create a piece of art that has like a very heavy, rosy-cheeked Saint Nicholas. That is Santa Claus, who loves Coca-Cola, loves Christmas,
lives
presents in the North Pole,
and high fructose corn syrup.
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah,
and
just
he
like
will
buy the IV bag full. Yeah.
If you're a bad boy, he'll give you coal to grill food for your family, I guess.
Mm-hmm. He can't kill his customers.
Yeah, he can't because they're going to come back every year.
Yeah, exactly.
So by 1931, we have the illustrator Hudson Somdoblam. I can't say that anymore.
Hudson Somdoblam.
He creates the image of Santa Claus that we have today.
And that's the one that's on the can.
Yeah, that's the one on the can.
Wow.
That's the one we gotta get from the modern age. But like, this is like full circle. Like, we go from Saint Nicholas to the Coca-Cola boy, Coca-Cola lad.
The Coca-Cola lads.
Yeah. But Santa Claus has like this long ass tradition.
It really does.
That's super cool.
Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, like, I'm a little astounded at the distance that we've covered, but
yeah, that's like over 1,500 years.
Once you start with Saint Nick and you see about the good things that he did and like the deeds that he was famous for, including borderline like miracles and miraculous things
absolutely.
That you had to see to believe, and even then you wouldn't necessarily believe it, is that it's not that far of a leap for him to like springboard off of Father Christmas. And
Father Christmas is interesting because he's like this.
He's also taking from it.
Primordial spirit.
He's taking from it, but he's also adding to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he's like this.
He gives energy to it in like the modern age to like come to our Coca-Cola Santa Claus, but he kind of kept Saint Nick from dying at the time.
Yeah, it
Saint seemed
Nicholas,
like
in the advent of
you needed it to make the jump from Catholicism to Protestantism.
Yeah, because he wasn't going to without.
If he didn't, then
you
would have the same predicament that you have now with Catholicism not being as popular in America as it is in the rest of the world. But because you had Father Christmas in Great Britain during the time of the Anglicanism,
become something.
He was able to jump across different cultural lines and become worldwide famous.
Which makes Saint Nicholas or Santa Claus this kind of like really joyful, beautiful spirit that
immortal.
Immortalized.
Yes.
He does what Achilles wants to do. He immortalizes.
He does what Nicholas Flamel wants to do. Yes.
He immortalizes himself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the gold is not really like actual gold, but it's the friends that you made along the way.
That's what I meant. Yeah, exactly. So I think we need to go ahead and grade this.
Okay, so are we grading Santa like across the whole board, like the whole?
Yeah, let's take Santa Claus across the whole board.
The whole board. Wow,
whole board, because
really
Santa Claus is huge, and I don't think we've covered everything that Santa Claus is.
I'm saying this.
You're saying 8?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying 8.
The Saint is like nearly 9 or 10.
I'm saying Santa's an 8. What do you think?
Why do you think Santa's an 8?
Okay, well, the influence alone would like knock him up to a 10 easily.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that the whole world is like aware of Santa right now is like 10.
Right.
Okay.
But he's not.
He's not as mysterious. Like a lot of people don't
Yeah.
believe in him. After you hit a certain age, you kind of lose faith.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He doesn't have the enigma.
And I'm not sure. Like I feel very fearful of Krampus.
I would feel
Yeah, I would feel fearful of him
if he was coming.
Yeah,
Like,
I
right.
don't want to be hit by him.
No, he's bad.
He's
real.
bad news,
Yeah.
but he's kind of a recent adaptation of him, and we haven't.
Jesse, do you want me to take us like off the rails for a second?
Take it off the rail, but
Okay.
don't edit the hell out of this.
I might edit the hell
No, don't.
Do you know what a tulpa is?
No.
Okay. So a tulpa is called like, it's like a mystic idea. It's called like a thought form.
Okay.
A good example would be if a writer was creating a series and had a bunch of like characters in a series that it was writing, and it was like thinking about these series and these characters all the time, and it was like writing these things down, and it was giving this mental energy to them. And after a while, it had given so much mental energy to these characters that it started to bleed over into their everyday life.
Oh wow.
And that way they would start to see the characters from the fiction in their real
normal
life.
life. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And you have accounts of these people who have been writing for like television shows or for movies or whatever, and they invite some like of their children from their family over, and they see the children unprovoked or like unaided or whatever, see the characters in the house of the author
Yeah.
that has written these characters. So it's like thought forms. It's the best way you can think of it. It's called the tulpas. So like, what do you think about as Santa or Krampus or Gorilla or St. Nicholas as being these thought forms that we give mental energy to? It allows them to become real.
Yeah, that like they become passed on as an energy.
Yes, they're an energy or an entity that's like in another dimension or whatever that has some kind of actual
Life.
form.
Because we've given it.
Right, because we have given it so much attention.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I think that would be fascinating. I think
Definitely.
yeah, like well, and is it not
Like, how much does it take to make one thing real, but does it have the whole world's power
Yeah.
behind it to make something
Well,
like
and
St. Nicholas real?
I think of in D&D
Santa Claus.
there's a group in Dungeons and Dragons. There's a group of people or a race that can thought provoke things so much that they become a thing. And maybe St. Nicholas is that. Maybe I mean
Exactly. How could he not meet the threshold for having enough thought energy behind him?
Yeah,
to
so
become-
many people look to him every year and ask for him, and so maybe that's what's happening here. I'm going to give St. Nicholas a proper 9 because I'm afraid to give a 10. But like the truth is, he's thanks.
I'm giving a shot
a shot
for the possibility
for the
of a St.
possibility.
Nicholas type entity that has existed throughout the ages, just based on
Goes beyond us.
goes beyond us
Goes
that we
beyond
can't
us.
understand.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite type things on here, Legends Libations, that we can like talk about things that don't have roots in normal conversation or scientific realms or whatever.
Here in
I can
Legend,
tell you the craziest thing and you'll just be like, oh, whoa, whatever, that might exist. You never know.
but it might exist in this kind of weird thought existing universal like space.
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like you think about the thought forms and like the tulpas is that I was just talking about, and you think about how sometimes you have an instance where you like think about a friend and then they call you or they text you.
Yeah, right,
after.
right.
And you're like, oh, well,
That was weird.
what was that coincidence? Was that picking up on some kind of like premonition that happened before it happened?
Yeah, was
Or was that created a reality in which it happened?
yeah, exactly. This
Which
is
one
one
is
of those
it?
things we can't explain.
Nope.
And
But
Saint
we
Nicholas,
like it.
Saint Nicholas is so much there. I'm going to give him a 9. I'm going to give him a 9. The only reason I don't give him a 10 is because he's not like Jesus Christ.
Wow. Yeah. What a high bar.
I know. Like, he's so cool.
He is cool.
And like, to this day, children wait for Santa Claus.
So his influence has to be 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like there's no way his influence is less than that at all.
His influence is high.
Yeah.
And I mean, like the fact that there's still Krampus festivals and St. Nicholas is being celebrated, and the fact that we wait upon Santa every night or every Christmas night, and that one of us as we get older will dress like Santa to pretend to be him, right?
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
Or Krampus.
Yeah. I mean, I hope to
mean,
next year in Germany.
Libations.
Right. Legends Libations
On location in
location.
Germany or Austria.
Hell yeah.
I've seen Mozart's house in Austria, and I can't wait to see Krampus's house, stomping grounds. Snops.
I can't wait.
I mean, if they just like give you snops, just like knocking on these doors, you know what I mean?
We cannot wait to do Legends Libations on site for you guys, because you guys are as badass.
That would be so funny if we were actually like in Austria or somewhere and the snow is falling and there's like a bunch of strangers everywhere and we're just like, here's some snops and we're gonna stare at
We're gonna
kids.
do this for you guys. Okay, so we graded this like 8, 9, 10. What do you think was the best drink of the night?
Good question. I'm gonna say the eggnog.
Well, because it was so actually really good.
Yeah, it was surprising. It was even better with the liquor added to it.
Yeah, I don't remember what the eggnog.
The bottles.
It's the Dutch. Oh, it's not there.
Saint Bernard. Anyway, we moved it. It's the
So
Dutch.
our drink was the Pennsylvania Dutch eggnog. Fantastic.
I give that a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, like it's not non-alcoholic at all. You definitely feel it with the rum, brandy.
It's
and
not your
Legends.
Puritans eggnog.
Yeah, it's not. It's a Catholic eggnog.
Catholic eggnog. They know how to have a good time.
Absolutely try this. It's a great drink for the season. Add some Sailor Jerry's to it to remind you of Saint Nick, who is the patron saint of sailors.
And repentant thieves.
Yeah, if you stole something in the past. I once stole a toy train from a laundromat, and my mom made me return it.
What
So I feel like
in the world laundromat was selling toy trains?
They weren't selling it. I just stole it.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, the laundromat had
Is this
a toy
the plot of
section.
like Home Alone 4?
Home Alone 5,
So
actually.
confused. Okay.
Home Alone 5. And I feel like Saint Nicholas is maybe my patron saint because of it.
And Krampus was coming to beat you with a birch rod.
But Saint Nicholas saved me.
I'm going to spank myself with a birch rod just to see if it's like worse than like any other rod or whatever. I have to know. You know, yeah.
We're just going to hit each other.
You have to like calculate your punishment ahead of time. It's like when you get like a bad grade in class, you're like, can I take a 0 on this?
So, guys, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We absolutely love you guys.
We're
want
done
you
with
guys.
season 1.
Season 1 is
It's in the
finished.
books.
Yes, in the books.
Yeah.
We're coming to season 2 after this. Wait until January 1st, and we'll be going to next season.
Everything's going to be different and more of the same.
More of the same.
Just
Legends
wait.
and Libations will be here for you. We love you guys.
We love you
absolutely
guys.
love you guys.
We really
thank
appreciate you.
for being part of our journey. Here's Legends Libations, sipping through history.
Thank you very much, and have a good Happy New Year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Have a badass time.
We love you guys. Like and subscribe. Tell a friend.
Tell
and we'll
10.
be here next year.
We'll be here next year. Okay.
Yes. Good
Bye,
night.
guys.
Bye.